hand shoots up into the air, clutching a razor-sharp black sigil, an unmistakable demon's mark. That chilling symbol sinks the user's magical skill to absolute zero. But a young man's voice cuts in right away, swearing the assessment is dead wrong. A young, shimmering Leona is told that this exact mark will light the path of her destiny. Hope burns in her chest. She's convinced it'll push her straight into becoming a legendary spirit mage. The story jumps to a lonely, moonlit path threading through the dark forest at night. A creaky wooden signpost juts forward, pointing straight at the kingdom of Eltona, and the kingdom of Rivalita right beside it. Lyanna trudges down this path by herself, her face worn out, but her resolve stays iron-strong, silent, and unbreakable. She spots a tiny white rabbit huddled in the clearing, half hidden by tangled undergrowth. Her quiet loneliness shatters, her stomach growls so loud it practically screams. Crouched among the trees, Liana Elrond thrusts her name into the air and admits she's starving to the bone. She raises her weapon to chase down that rabbit, then quickly blurts an apology to the adorable little creature for how desperate she's become. With a fierce cry, she rockets forward and swings that thick, sturdy stick straight at her prey. A harmless bunny springs in like a jump scare and smashes her face with a brutal kick. The shockwave blasts her backward and she collapses like a defeated hero, totally crushed by that unexpectedly brutal, hard-hitting beast. Crushed to the ground, she wails at her own weakness as the rabbit hops farther away. She can't help but think Tina's insane power and her father's strength could have made this effortless. Her mind flashes scenes of legendary adventurers charging straight at goblins, orcs, and monsters. The truth hits her like a wrecking ball. She can't use magic and she can't even hunt. She's got nowhere to go back to, so she stares off with a bittersweet ache, wishing she could have shared cake with Tina. That thought yanks her back 5 hours, right to the moment her marked hand carefully sets a strawberry on the cake. She whispers to herself that her whole miserable mess is happening because of this cursed mark. Back then, she proudly announced she'd finished her gorgeous strawberry cake. In a loud, bustling kitchen, she can't help but wonder, will Tina love what she just made? A woman nearby clocks her radiant mood, and Liana laughs, telling her she wrapped up work early. Another worker blurts out how she can't believe it, and she remembers those brutal 20-hour workdays like it happened yesterday. A montage blasts us with her grinding through brutally intense physical labor, and she somehow attacks every moment with shocking, unstoppable energy. She's done shopping, scrubbed the whole place clean, tackled laundry, and then chopped through a mountain of wood like it was nothing. Lyanna admits it with a bitter laugh. Pushing herself through brutal labor is the only thing she's truly good at. The truth behind her hard work finally clicks. Today is the day Tina comes flying back to Elrond Garden. The Adventurers Guild of Elrond Garden, man, that place is the kingdom of Rivalita's biggest deal. Inside the guild, everyone was buzzing, because Tina was about to become the youngest saint in history. Leona grips the cake and strides down the hall, refusing to let her sister's return be anything less than perfectly celebrated. The crew cheered when Tina came back from the holy site, and they were already calling it she'd be their star adventurer. Leona's proud of her genius sister for a whole second, then her stomach growls loud enough to steal the moment. A warm-hearted kitchen worker spots her awkward hunger right away. The woman snaps at her for pushing it too far, and Liana finally admits she hasn't had a bite since morning. She's perched by herself at a tiny table, while the whole guild hall swarms around her with noise and motion. Tina looks down at the cake with a heavy heart, convinced that for someone like her, without talent, it's the only gift she'll ever be able to offer. As she waits, a towering, intimidating figure steps into the doorway, and a giant shadow stretches across the room. He comes to a hard stop at her table, and his sharp voice slices through the noise as he demands to know what she's doing. Turns out the man isn't just some stranger. He's her father, Barbatus Elrond, the guild master of Elrond Garden. A nearby staff member watches in silence, her face twisted with pure worry and dread. Lena jerks her gaze upward in total shock, fear choking her voice as she whispers her father's name. Flustered and fidgeting, she blurts that she wrapped up work early just to bake a celebration cake for Tina. Barbatus' hand snaps out in a dizzying blur, and wham, the cake gets smashed. Lyanna is locked in pure horror. Cream splatters her and a strawberry plops right onto her head. The shattered cake sprawls in a messy heap right on the wooden floor at her feet. He brushes her effort off as total nonsense, then coldly reminds her he already reserved the restaurant. He tells her she doesn't have to lift a finger to clean up the mess he caused. Lyanna stands there stunned as he tears into her with a ruthless lecture about their family's legacy. He brags that the women in their bloodline are born with serious talent for light magic. He keeps talking, waving a cigar in his hand like a spotlight, driving every word home. He flicks a tiny spark of magic to prove the guild's power right there on the spot. A sudden burst of light detonates with insane force, and it jolts Liana and the other woman out of their moment instantly. He whips his hand toward Lena and orders her to take a look right at that jaw-dropping power display. He declares their guild is a magic crucible, where even beginner spells hit like absolute power. He's bragging that for 10 whole years their adventures have blown up in fame, because the magic power keeps getting stronger and stronger. He tells them Tina's rise to becoming the youngest saint in history wasn't luck at all. It came straight from her bloodline and the world around her. His voice snaps and he rages that our magical aptitude is 0, like we can't cast even the simplest spell. He shoves her hand forward and declares that the demon's mark is the root of all evil, a disgrace that can't be ignored. They tell her the demon's mark isn't a curse from nowhere, it's just a birthmark sitting right on her right hand. An appraiser spotted the mark messing with her mana flow, cutting off her magic before it could even spark. In a brutal flashback, her father storms into the open, humiliates her to everyone's face, and screams that she's tainted blood. Right now, a kitchen worker storms in and snaps that Barbados is taking it way too far. She rips into him, claiming he's kept Leona working brutal hours with no pay and no real goodbye at all. Lena flinches as her father's rage barrels upward, fueled by her defiance. He scoffs like the whole idea of paying Leona for her work is laughable. He roars that if Lyanna even had talent, their guild would already be ruling the whole country. He rips into her with screams, ordering her to get out and accusing her of dragging the Elra name through the mud. He slams into her with a brutal hit, roaring that she's incompetent, while tainted blood stains his words. The impact slams her like a cannonball across the guild hall and straight into a barrel. Hickory snaps at her to get out before Tina comes back, warning her never to show her face again. The story snaps back to the forest. Lyanna is sprawled on the ground exactly where she dropped off, sound asleep. She jolts awake from her exhaustion, and sorrow and regret wash over her face like a crushing wave. She turns to the empty woods and pours out an apology, then tells Tina she can't celebrate with her. She grips her marked hand tight, mourning the life she could have lived if that mark had never been there. Her face is swallowed by shadow, and despair grips her so tightly it feels like there's no hope left in the world. With pure resolve sparking in her chest, she slaps her own cheeks hard, snapping herself out of that misery like a switch flipping. She snaps, "I can't mope forever, I've got to find a job or else starve." With hate aimed at her like a weapon, she knows she can't stay in her own country anymore. She blurted out a plan she'd hunt for work in another country, spotting the signpost pointing straight to Eltona. She takes a deep breath, finally fueled by purpose, and sprints onto the road toward the kingdom of Eltona. As she journeys on, her thoughts get hijacked by daydreams of mouth-watering food. Her Chibai self marches on anyway, stubborn as ever, even while hunger gnaws at her. Her scarred hand shoots out and snatches berries from the bush beside them, pushing them straight into Forge's reach. She bounds over the rocks like a spark, darting through the rough terrain with total control. She tumbles down a jagged rocky slope, proving just how brutal her journey really was. She trots into the river with the other girls, grinning as she plunges her bare hands in and goes after fish like it's a game. The chaotic fishing scramble rages on, splashing like crazy, shouting at the top of their lungs and laughing nonstop. After 2 grueling days on the road, she finally collapsed, face drained of color, eyes weighed down like she could barely stay awake. She stumbles forward, belly growling like a warning, aching with hunger and crushing fatigue. Her hunger hits so hard she starts seriously eyeing the grass along the roadside like it's her only meal left. A little drooling mini version of herself is about to start gnawing on a blade of grass. Her sister's inner voice rips into her, telling her not to even think about munching roadside grass. She violently shakes her head, swats that desperate idea aside, and steels herself to keep moving. Her face snaps into wide-eyed shock as she crests the hill. She snaps to a stop, eyes wide, overwhelmed by the jaw-dropping skyline of a massive city stretching out before her. From the top, she spots her goal, the magnificent kingdom of Eltona blazing under the sun. Inside the city, she stares in awe at the non-stop bustle, blurting out that there are even more people here than in Rivalita's castle town. Standing in the middle of a roaring city, Liana can't stop staring. Every shop, every street, every sight blows her mind. A gray, cloudy sky hangs over a sprawling city where tiled rooftops and sharp spires stretch as far as the eye can see. A warm-hearted baker thrusts a fresh loaf into her hands, instantly guessing she's just arrived as a new immigrant. The city streets buzz with life, market stalls clatter, people weave through the crowd, and every corner feels like it's humming with the day. Her stomach rumbles like thunder, screaming the brutal truth, 3 days with nothing but hunger. She's left speechless when the baker swears the bread is a gift. She tears into the food, chewing like it's survival, and realizes this is the first meal she's had in days. As she digs into her meal, she catches 2 starving kids staring at her from the alley across the way. She devours her precious bread with a ravenous look that says she'll stop for nothing. 2 starving kids glare at her, eyes brimming with sadness and pure, desperate longing. Leona freezes, staring down at her half-eaten bread, and you can practically feel her conflict twist in her chest. She suddenly bolts straight toward the kids, catching them off guard with her sudden arrival. She drops to her knees and shoves the rest of her bread into their hands, urging them to share. With a soft, heart-melting smile, she tells the older boy to protect his sister, and the kids, still stunned, nod along and quietly agree. As she walks off, the kids burst into happy cheers, shouting their heartfelt thanks after her. Later, she's left alone, confessing she screwed up, but she doesn't feel a single shred of regret. She lets out a soft sigh, weighing that selfless choice like it carries the whole world on its shoulders. She realizes, shock hitting hard, that even in this thriving city, some kids are still trapped in pain. She blurts out, almost like a dare, "Can I really carve out my own spot here?" Nearby, Elvin, a young man with sharp eyes, watches as the kingdom opens its doors and welcomes immigrants. Then he strides up to Liana and points out that a single lone immigrant is an odd sight, just like this shouldn't happen. Liana's heart jumps. She can't shake the fear that she just blurted her own thoughts out loud by accident. A wild thought jolts through her. Could this drop-dead handsome stranger be sliding her some serious flirtation? She shoots the idea down with a jittery wave, clearly rattled. Introducing himself as Elbin, he sweeps in with an offer, tea, and can't stop staring at her fascinating hands. Her panic crashes back in full force, screaming that his intentions are nothing but romance. Inside her head, Tina hears a warning voice, "Don't go with the guy you just met." His offer of a full meal hits the mark, and she accepts with grateful joy. She guided him into a breathtaking mansion that looked just like a royal palace. Inside, she's hit with a breathtaking sight, an extravagant feast so massive it leaves her utterly overwhelmed. She stares at the castle-like grounds in awe, then Elvin grins and drops the bomb. "Yeah, it's my house." Panic crashes over her the moment she finally clocks what her reckless choice has just unleashed. He gently urges her to take a bite, brushing off her frantic, internal panic like it's nothing. He quickly clocks that she's tangled up in something far more complicated than she lets on. Leona tilts her head up, eyes blazing with shock at how perfectly he clocked what was happening. Pure shock blasted across her face, impossible to miss. She stammers, voice cracking as she blurts, How could you possibly know I haven't eaten in days?" She can't let it go. Why in the world is he feeding her like this? He takes a slow sip of his wine, then leans in and says the answer to her question is dead simple. He tears his divine eye open. Now he can see through absolutely anything. He also spots it. Her eyes blaze gold, not that usual blue appraisal glow. As a court appraiser, he leans in and says he's always hunting for fresh talent. He drops the real reason behind the meal, and then offers her the job. Liana's left completely stunned by this wild, unexpected twist. He lays out the brutal risks of an adventurer's life, then leans in and tells her this is still 100% her decision. Tight close-up zooms in on her adventurer gear, front and center. She lets out this tiny, shaky sound, completely unsure what to say next. Then she bursts into wild laughter, claiming the whole adventurer idea is just a big, hilarious joke. Elvin didn't lose his cool. He calmly pressed her to tell him why she felt that way. A sharp ache twists her face as she starts spilling the truth behind her reasoning. He leans in, eyes locked, and his serious face says he's ready for whatever comes next. Her smile drops the moment darkness swallows her face as she braces to spill the deepest shame she's been hiding. She tilts her gaze downward, and her bangs hide her eyes like a secret. To her shock, he boldly tells her it's not impossible at all. When he says it to her, his words hit like thunder. He's telling her she's got real talent. He lets it slip that she's got infinite magical power, like she's already born to become a spirit mage. She's left completely speechless by the jaw-dropping truth. She's rattled and brushes off his words as sketchy, like she doesn't even have a clue what a spirit mage is. Then he leans in and asks her name, and in a soft voice she tells him it's Lyanna. His gaze locks onto the mark on her right hand, and he clocks that it's a secret she's been hiding. He reaches out and softly brushes the back of her hand with his fingertips. He adds that the truth behind her mark isn't something he'd ever call good. Painful memory slams into her head every cruel moment she suffered under the demon's mark. Elvin studies the mark in silence, clocking exactly what a run-of-the-mill appraiser would miss. Deciding to be real with her, he jabs a finger at her and blurts, "Trust me, seeing it is faster than hearing it." He leans in and offers her the jaw-dropping power of his divine eye. Her entire world detonates the second she realizes the massive magical power blasting out of her hand. She spots the magic in an instant, and it drinks into her body like power rushing straight through her veins. That mana hits like an endless waterfall, relentless, roaring, and it never lets up. He tells her the extra power gets sifted away and blasted into the air around her. He decides she's basically a walking power source. Lyanna's face turns into a horrifying mask the moment she finally understands what's really happening. She remembers her father telling her, a decade back, that the guild's mysterious power had suddenly surged. Elvin clocks her face instantly and he nails it. She's just made the connection. He figures she can't use magic because her own power crushes her from the inside, leaving her too overwhelmed to move. He declares that if she masters control, she'll become the most powerful spirit mage of all. He tells you straight up, that mark is the ultimate proof that her spirit magic is the real deal. He grabbed her hands and pleaded, face full of urgency, asking her to join the Royal Guild. Lyanna stands there stunned, her thoughts crashing and burning after his offer. Just when the tension peaks, Elvin's stomach growls loud enough to break the whole moment. He bursts out laughing, then quickly apologizes for bringing up something so serious right before they eat. As they dig into their meal, he urges her to take it in and think it through, then reassures her, "You can still say no." Blazing Crest pops into view on the spoon he holds. As Lyanna bites into her food, his words keep echoing in her head and she's still not fully convinced her power is real. With fresh fire in her chest, she tilts her head up and declares, "I'll do my absolute best." Elvin grins, and you can tell her determination just made her heart soar. As she eats, she can't shake the thought that compliments about talent don't really change what matters most. Her real happiness hits when someone finally needs her for the first time. Those untouched empty plates scream one thing: your amazing, life-changing meal is over. Butler strides in and declares, loud and proud, that dessert is finally ready to hit the table. Lena snapped her head up from her own thoughts, stunned by the announcement. Perfect slice of strawberry shortcake lands in front of her, fresh and irresistible. Elvin excitedly proposes they celebrate her brand new journey with cake. She thanks him for the meal, but before she can touch the cake, she tells him she's not ready to eat it, yet. He just stares, totally baffled, while she tells him with total confidence that she'll eat it eventually. She swears she'll only take a bite of that cake when she can stand shoulder to shoulder with Tina, real adventurer status, no exceptions. Her face lights up with pure hope, and right then, her brand new adventure story kicks off. He grins when he realizes her raw potential to become the next spirit mage. His offhand test tomorrow slips out, and it instantly throws her into a full-blown comedy-style panic. Lena, a young woman, stares in total disbelief, completely lost. She and her companion stride toward this massive cathedral-like building, like it's calling them closer. That mind-blowing structure is quickly pinned down as the Adventurers Guild. Her companion breaks down the ranking system, but Lyanna's already got the basics down cold. She compares her family's A ranks to her own unranked fate in her head, and it stings. With a stone-cold stare, she demands to know if the guild pays a steady, fixed salary. The moment she hears about a fixed salary, shock hits her like a gut punch. Her friend crushes her excited guess about the meal tickets before she can even breathe. When she realizes even D-rankers can live it up, she throws a celebration, cheering that the system actually looks after its people. A sudden realization hits her so hard, it lights up her face in an instant. She realizes that trying to become an adventurer in a place this brutal is going to be insanely tough. Her companion nods and confirms that your skill gets checked in full, from start to finish. A crazy close-up zooms in on the guild's architecture, and every tiny detail screams craftsmanship. That building, it's where the Royal Guild entrance exam is about to go down. Inside, a grand staircase rises up through a jaw-dropping, multi-level hall dripping in luxury. Camera locks onto those battered stone steps right as they're about to climb. She and her crew push through the guild's main doors and stride straight into the heart of it. A massive wide shot opens up, and suddenly the cavernous main hall explodes with noise and motion. Leona drinks in the chaos of the packed tables as she heads straight to the bar. She can't help but look back and mourn her old guild, the long-standing Elrond Garden. Unlike her old squad of battle-hardened veterans, this guild is packed with fresh-faced rookies. The harsh truth hits her like a punch. Right here, it's only raw talent that decides everything. Her face contorts instantly, and that anxiety hits the room like a wave. In a total panic, she blurts out that her fighting skills are worse than a rabbit's. Her friend Rice rushes in to calm her down, urging her to fall back on their training. Slumped into his seat, he admits he already sent in her application. Right as she lifts a mug of milk to her lips, a fresh voice cuts through the air and snaps their moment in half. Elvin, glasses and all, just appears at their table out of nowhere. He strolls up and greets Rice like it's nothing, and Rice clocks him instantly. Lyanna can barely breathe when he shows up out of nowhere in an instant. Her eyes snap wide with pure shock as her mind finally catches up to what she just saw. She gasps she just saw top-tier spatial movement magic with her own eyes. A bead of sweat forms as she locks eyes with the powerful newcomer. Other adventurers trade juicy whispers about Elvin's wild dramatic entrances and how he always scouts first. Elvin catches their chatter and with a sharp, thoughtful hunch, repeats the words scouting like it's the key. He locks eyes with Leona across the guild home, and the whole room feels like it stops. Their profiles flash on screen in a dead silent, tense pause that feels like the whole world is holding its breath. Rice spits out a dramatic point, announcing that someone has failed. A snobbish twin-tail girl snarls at the display, terrified the guild's standards are about to slip. Elvin flashes a biting smirk and tells Rice to brace herself. This new recruit is coming in hot. Rice remembers Elvin's final pick, Lucy, who's still stuck at D rank. Elvin jumps in to defend Lucy, insisting she's not heartless, she's just been dealt her own situation. He's betting everything on it. This time, he's sure his divine eye won't betray him. Lena can barely hold it together as the tension keeps climbing, and she's totally thrown. Plain polka dot backdrop quietly frames the calm moment. Fresh adventure creeps in and dares to test just how far Rice's stubborn resolve will go when Lyanna needs defending. He won't stop insisting that Lyanna is going to become a game-changing asset to the Royal Guild. Elvin smirks and says he'll see for himself whether Rice keeps pushing his claim. He steps up and says he'll personally watch her entrance exam, no one else. Leona barely manages a tiny shocked gasp as she reacts. Rice lets loose his worries about the guild's latest streak of pitiful recruits. Elvin swears he can't wait for it, but the gloom on his face gives him away. Something's clearly haunting him. The logo of an online comic platform flashes on the screen. Leona squints hard, clocking every bit of Elvin's fake expression. She finally sees it. He's exactly like her father, the kind of man who can't stand a single slip or incompetence. Elvin shoots out an excuse, then slips away through the packed hall like he can't get out of there fast enough. Lyanna gets left behind and worry hits her like a punch the moment she's standing alone. The crowd explodes into shocked whispers, and two top members slip into view like they're about to unravel a whole maze. The thrill surges through the adventurers as they sprint to the exam site, ready to slam their bets down. Rice gets pulled into the chaos and strikes a bet with Elvin over whether Lyanna will really pull it off. The story whips us into a massive open-air arena, right as the exam is about to kick off. Up in the stands, a roaring crowd has packed in, all eyes glued to the spectacle unfolding below. Elvin and Rice stand shoulder to shoulder among them, faces set in stone and eyes dead serious. Two examiners shove Leona into a test and demand she proves her power, either with martial arts or magic. Leona can't handle being the main spotlight. Panic slams into her the moment all eyes lock on. A woman with sharp, long ears grips the crowd's edge, watching with trembling worry. The worried woman whispers Lyanna's name like it might shatter the room. From the stands, Rice locks eyes with everyone, flashes a calm smile and gives a thumbs up like she's saying, "You've got this." His small gesture of support sweeps in and steadies her trembling nerves. She's standing alone in the arena, and the shadows swallow her face whole. She clenched her hands and vowed, no matter what, to do exactly what he taught her. A raging wave of energy whips into a storm, spiraling around her tiny frame. In a flashback, she trains with Rice beneath a sky packed with stars, grinding through it like it's her destiny. She remembers the wild, unstoppable surge of magic blasting out of her hands. While she was training, she straight up demanded, "What am I supposed to do with all this power?" Crazy close-up reveals the raw mana spiraling in an intricate, mesmerizing swirl. Race told her to picture shutting that overflowing magic tight, like snapping a lid on it. Jagged streak underlines the raw power she's fighting to hold back. She clings to the memory of that brutal, scorching heat as the mana starts to condense. Seething pressure keeps stacking inside her, line after line, until it feels like she'll burst. Visuals slam you with the raw, untamed power surging out of her like it's breaking free. His last command was simple: take all that rage and aim it straight at the person who drives her insane. Her father's snarling, hate-filled face flashes across her mind like a nightmare she can't outrun. Right now, she unleashes her rage, snarling at the memories that keep crawling back. Years of crushed feelings explode out of her as she screams, "Bastard." Her fist slams into the tile floor with a pitiful little thud. The moment her fist drives down, the ground under her feet erupts and shatters violently. A brutal shockwave detonates in the air, blasting both examiners right off their feet. Her punch detonates with raw power, and the shockwave rips forward like an honor rocket blasting into the sky. A destructive wave crashes outward, ripping through the arena and gouging a massive crater into the ground. Lena's eyes go wide as pure shock takes over, and she hangs there, suspended in the air like the world froze. In the stands, Elvin and the other spectators shriek in pure terror, unable to believe what they're seeing. Only Rice watches the incredible spectacle unfold, wearing a proud, satisfied smile like he just won. Dust finally clears, and the arena floor is left in total ruin. Rice triumphantly shows the stunned Elvin Lyanna's incredible spirit magic, and the whole thing hits them like a punch. Crowd murmurs in disbelief, buzzing like they just saw legendary magic with their own eyes. The elven woman in the crowd speaks up, and her words slam into place. This isn't just a trick, it's real spirit magic. Battered by the chaos, Liana Niels crawled through the rubble, utterly drained from everything it took. That stuck-up girl from before blasts in again. She's not calling it magic at all, because what she just saw was raw, brutal violence. The examiners crowd the crater's rim, squinting as they measure the sheer force of a spell that looks like it could rival a meteor. Amid the wreckage, Alvin leans in and declares, "Let's name her new technique the Great Meteor Fist Strike." He snaps his voice up and makes the official announcement: Spirit Mage Leona has cleared the exam. Liana goes completely still, staring up with wide eyes, her mind scrambling to process the sudden words. The crowd explodes with shock. An S-rank starter has finally burst onto the scene after 5 brutal years. From the stands, the bespectacled elf shot her a grin and declared she could back up every word her supporters had been saying. With a gloved hand, he readjusts his glasses, calmly accepting what he's just heard, like he's already got the next move figured out. A blonde guy named Rice strides up to Lena and blurts out that he's thrilled to finally have an S-rank companion. As he spun to go, he shot her one last warning: don't fall out of rank. From over there, Elvin can tell Rice is absolutely fuming about how things turned out. The twin-tailed girl can't even wrap her head around it. Liana is suddenly S-ranked like that. With her heart bursting, Liana thanks her supporter for yanking her reputation out of the fire. Elvin pulls her in for a food-filled celebration, but she's drifting somewhere else, trapped in her own thoughts. With a trembling blush, she whispers her heartfelt thanks to Elvin, like the words can barely contain how much it means to her. Her thoughts spiral with raw worry. Can she really handle an S-rank monster like him? Two storm out of the wrecked arena, and their brand new journey is only just getting started. The tale snaps to a massive, breathtaking building, like the story just opened a brand new chapter. In a glittering room, Barbatus raises a toast and revels in another cash-laden win, right next to a chest brimming with treasure. He breaks into a thrilled dance, patting himself on the back for getting rid of his useless daughter. His thoughts spill out the same belief: her total lack of magic has gutted the guild's power spot. Now that she's gone, he's 100% sure their guild won't just survive, it'll keep exploding in size and strength. He lights the cigar and dreams up the moment his guild rockets to the top of the whole kingdom. Just as he's riding that triumphant high, a hush of quiet thoughts crashes in, smoke curling from his lips. He can't shake the feeling he messed up, because the power spots effect is suddenly way weaker. Then his other daughter, Tina, bursts in and declares that she's finished her newest request. He blurts out that she's the fastest saint alive, stunned by how she rockets straight up to a rank. He scans the jaw-dropping list of the insanely hard quests she's already crushed. His jaw drops as he realizes she pulled off veteran-level tasks all on her own. Glory crashes into his thoughts. He's already picturing them like the two towering pillars holding up the top guild. He bursts into a passionate speech, laying out reforms that will massively tilt power in favor of magic users. Panic flashes across his face as he realizes he's let his whole plan slip. He slams Tina for taking the conservatives' side just because she dared question his grand vision. Tina tells them she's felt a magical spark in the guild for as long as she can remember, until just recently. That once mysterious, electrifying spark is fading fast, and now the power spots feel sketchy, like they can't be trusted. Her father's completely lost. He can't even wrap his head around what she's saying. He snaps that the power spot is absolute and won't hear a single word of disagreement. Still rattled, Tina doesn't flinch. She calmly asks if she can ask him one thing. His arrogant swagger instantly cracks, and a wave of dawning fear hits his face. His mind spins because he can't afford to mess up his prized asset for some nobody like Liana. With a grimace twisting his face, he braces himself and readies a flawlessly convincing line. He hypes his looming tale like it's all for his own legendary future. With a bright smile plastered on his face, he swears he's sending Leonid off to study abroad in Altona. Tina asks if this is what her sister really wanted, and he snaps back, "Yeah, this is it, fast." He adds that Leona practically begged for one more shot to do more for the guild. As Tina walks out, he lights up his cigar with swagger, convinced he just dodged the whole crisis. Tina marched down a long, sunlit hallway by herself, her face giving away nothing. Her expression tightens into certainty. She's figured it out and her father's lying. A sweet memory suddenly hits. Leona swears she'll bake the celebration cake. She remembers it clearly. Right the day she came back, Lady Lyanna was just gone. Lady Lyanna's name rings in her mind, a haunting reminder of what's missing and gone for good. Leaning on the window, she stares into the distance, dying to know where her sister is and what she's doing right this second. The story snaps to the southwestern waters of Altona, out in the wilds of remote Alba Island. Lena is bursting into full-blown comical panic. Her face is a straight-up mask of pure terror. She cranes her neck to the sky, staring at it like it owes her answers, because how did her life crash into this desperate mess? Later on, during training, she balanced flawlessly on her head like it was nothing. Pinned upside down, she leans in and demands, "Elvin, is this crazy routine actually going to work?" Elvin calmly tells them, straight to the point, that mental focus is the real foundation for everything. He then declares that the very thing she's been waiting for is finally here, right at last. Lyanna pops out of her headstand and stares up in pure, total confusion. She slips into her new adventuring outfit and throws down a fierce, powerful pose like she's ready to crush whatever comes next. Her eyes light up like fireworks as she asks, breathless, "Is it really for me?" Elvin tells her that her old sleeves kept ripping apart because her punch was just too powerful. This panel's just a watermark, plain and simple. He clocks her getting stronger day by day, but tells her straight up, her magic still isn't quite there. He hands her an official request from the Royal Guild, sealed tight with hot wax. Her whole face lights up like fireworks at the thought of her very first real quest. Her smile snaps into pure terror the moment she reads the mission's horrifying objective. The diagram spells it out. This 3-star difficulty creature is a massive threat that can spell disaster for whole towns. With dread curling in her stomach, she realizes the Black Dragon Overlord isn't just powerful, he's officially a 5-star designated creature. That caption makes it crystal clear. This threat demands a full national response, no questions asked. She tries to convince herself that S-rank adventures would inevitably come drenched in dangerous requests. From out of nowhere, Elvin's voice cuts through the distance, urging her to trust in her spirit magic, believe it and let it rise. She slips into that dark, menacing forest, and the fear hits hard that something will sink its teeth in before they even make it inside. Fresh party member Kraft barrels in smiling, then assumes her trembling is pure, fearless excitement. Alyssa mutters through her teeth that she'd way rather not be here at all. Kane, a battle-hardened veteran, refuses to bow to that S-rank rookie and flat-out won't treat them as their leader. Elvin leans in and tells her to play nice and build real harmony with the party members the court assigned to her. It hits Leona like lightning. Suddenly she sees everything and a brand new plan ignites in her mind. With a bright grin, she hands the reins of leadership to the skeptical, stone-faced Kane. She admits with quiet confidence that someone like him, a seasoned veteran, would make the better leader. Kane's eyes widen as her sudden, disarming respect hits her like a punch. He steps into the role the other wants. His job is to be that easy, steady voice everyone can handle, like a soft whisper that tells him exactly what to do. Their adventure kicks off as they plunge straight into the monster-choked jungle of Alba Island. Cain tells them their plan is simple: don't clash with that crushingly powerful dragon. Their only goal was to snatch a tiny vial of the creature's blood, no distractions, no mercy. He snaps out a stern warning to the whole party: don't you dare wade too deep into this. The moment it happens, the others get sidetracked, spinning gossip about how Liana's living with Elbin. Cain fired off a sharp question, trying to pull them back. Hey, are the magic users even listening to me? Liana barges in, demanding that Kraft and Melissa hold out their palms, just for a moment. She slips her hands over theirs, brushing off Cain's furious attempts to control them. Two magic users snap to attention, breathing hard as their magical powers surge like a tidal wave. Elvin leans in and explains that it's the real art of squeezing concentrated mana and hand-feeding it to someone else. Leona straight up tells them her mana amplification power is basically a magic cheat code, turning their spells up to about double their strength. Her companions are flying high with joy, but Cain snaps at them, drilling in that they're burning mana for nothing. Cain freezes in profile, eyes bulging with pure shock at the overwhelming power pouring off her. That panel's just a watermark, nothing to see here, it's been stamped over the action. Liana starts to explain her own mana, then Cain slams right over her words and shuts her down. She tilts her head, utterly baffled by the sudden burst of intensity exploding out of him. Just as they push deeper into the dark, choking forest, a brand new threat slams down and blocks their path. They finally clock what they've done, and terror hits as they realize they've walked straight into a monster-hunting ground. Cain sizes up that 2-star difficulty beast and lays out their attack plan like it's already decided. As a monstrous horde comes barreling in, Cain snaps orders to his mages, backline support now. Right then, Liana locks eyes with 5B Salon, and panic hits her like a wave because the odds are way too brutal. In a heartbeat, a colossal werewolf rockets toward her and clamps its teeth down on her arm. An invisible force slammed into the beast and threw it backward, making it reel in agony with a silent, pained roar. Staring at her glowing palm, Liana realizes her body has been leaking mana nonstop this whole time. That training memory hits her, she finally remembers the trick, pumping concentrated mana nonstop through every inch of her body. She activates Spirit Enhancement, locks eyes with a demonic tiger, and finally feels it: she can fight for real. She bursts forward like a streak of lightning, launching a brutal counterattack against the beast. Her fist slammed straight into the werewolf's jaw, and the monster blasted backward through the air like it got hit by a cannon. She snaps around with a battle cry, then lands a brutal kick that smashes through the next monster. She launches a non-stop storm of strikes, smashing through every last one of her remaining foes. Leona's stunned at how weightless she feels, still totally fresh, not a bit tired even after that brutal fight. Swirling in ethereal light, she effortlessly cuts down the final werewolf with ruthless ease. Her eyes glitter with a lifetime of devotion, every adventure she's ever loved reflected back in her gaze. Staring at her glowing hands, she finally clicks: spirit magic isn't what she thought, and she realizes its true power. A flash of memory hits her: her past self was branded as a magic user with no talent at all. Right now her eyes flare wide, like everything finally clicks all at once. Towering over the defeated monsters, she squints like, so, is this really all it is, just plain old violence? Her mind spirals in regret, furious that this savage brand of magic isn't what she ever fell in love with. From across the way, her companions erupted in awe, staring at her jaw-dropping strength. Cain flat out says it's her deadly close-quarters skill that's what made Elvin fall for her. Flustered and bright red, Liana looks mortified for a second. Then her embarrassment melts into pure satisfaction as she hears them praising her brute force style. Cain shouts for backup, and a rush of excitement surges as an eager Kraft charges in to take his spot. With total confidence, he gets ready to unleash the fireball he's calling beginner level like it's nothing. Jealous as hell, Liana secretly prays she could torch the world with fireballs blasting from her own palms. She watches totally baffled as he starts casting his spell. The explosion rips through everything, launching both the Kraft and the Cain flying into the sky. Colossal inferno roars to life, way stronger than any puny fireball should ever be. Melissa spots the spell and calls it an intermediate fire cannon, then snaps at Kraft for his reckless stunt. A dazed Kraft forces him to admit he only used a beginner spell, because once he sees it, he realizes Liana's power is the real reason it all works. From the blast's rim, Cain steels his eyes and realizes just how brutally powerful mana amplification is. He He snaps a warning to Kraft, because in his head he can already feel what a boosted trump card could unleash, and it's terrifying. Leona flashes a bright grin and tells her friends, "Don't worry, I've got my enhancement ability covered." Leona grins and tells everyone her infinite mana means she can fire off her abilities without a single worry. Her party leader Kane snaps into pure, unfiltered horror the moment he sees it. He mulls over her words for a moment, then realizes that unlimited mana is just an unfair cheat code. The story snaps to a sky full of stars, and you can practically feel the hours slipping by. As the jungle turns pitch black, the whole party huddles up and decides to hunt for the perfect place to set up camp. They stake out a clearing, crowding around a roaring campfire that crackles and flickers warm light over everyone. Lena lifts a perfectly grilled fish on a skewer, and her eyes go wide with pure, excited joy. She chomps down with pure joy, and that bottomless energy snaps her right back, faster than anyone expects. Her companions stare in disbelief as she mows down monsters after monsters and still doesn't even look tired. Kane watches her ravenous appetite and realizes, oh, this is what an S-rank adventurer's power looks like. He releases a tired sigh, still trying to wrap his head around her impossible powers. The full moon hangs overhead, flooding the night with a ghostly, pale glow. High on a far-off cliff, a colossal, terrifying silhouette forms in front of the stars. A massive black dragon looms overhead, its cold eyes locked on their faraway campfire. The very next day, the adventurers clamber to the top of a towering cliff, ready to kick off the next chapter of their wild journey. Kraft lays it out: Black Dragon Overlord isn't just proud, he's straight up dangerously violent. Kane shot them a hard look and warned, "Don't you dare poke that creature if you spot it, leave it alone." He lays out their stealth mission: snatch a blood sample while it's sound asleep. Lena slams into their serious planning and blurts out that she's been stuck on one thought for days. With pure innocence, she blurts out, "So, why do we even need to collect the dragon's blood?" Her companions freeze in total silence after her wildly basic question. Leona panics on the spot, blurting out, "Did I say something weird?" as they press her and scrutinize why she's still holding an S rank. Kraft calmly but firmly tells them, that blood isn't optional, it's the one crucial ingredient for the elixir. Kane finally spills the mission's real stakes, and they're terrifying. A deadly epidemic is tearing through Neville Village. Lyanna's smile drops into shadow as she vividly pictures the suffering orphans and vagrants. Her face tightens with fierce determination, and she declares, right there and then, that this is her duty as an adventurer. Right out of nowhere, she launches herself off the cliff's edge like a wild decision that can't wait. Her party members erupt into screams, frozen in shock and pure disbelief at her sudden move. Lena rockets downward through the sky, and her long hair lashes around her like a storm as she falls. Her eyes snap wide as she tilts her gaze up, bracing herself for the brutal, endless drop. Up on the cliff top, her friends huddle in panic, arguing over the only way to chase after her down the drop. One guy pitches using wind magic to drift down safely, but warns it'll take forever. Right then, the fearsome Black Dragon Overlord crashes down in front of them with a bone-rattling thud. A monstrous black dragon spikes for days, a grin that screams doom crams the entire sky in your view. The colossal beast towers over a handful of adventurers trapped in a jagged rocky canyon. Terrified, the adventurers stare at its massive size, and their leader snaps, "Stay calm, don't panic." He snaps them back to the mission: get the dragon's blood and don't you dare stir it up. With a brutal roar, the dragon slams into the ground, cratering it, and blasts the whole party into the air as rubble rains down. The leader snaps furious, grilling the bad intel that swore the beast hated fighting. He scraps their messed up plan on the spot and yells at his crew, "Shoot for its feet." He lunges ahead and rips through the air with the ferocious Neogran blade technique. To his horror, his blade splintered into nothing as the dragon's scales refused to budge. The beast flicks him aside with brutal ease, and he goes flying through the air, broken, defeated, and out of options. Crushed and beaten, he groans in pure disbelief as his friends shout his name in frantic alarm. The dragon dips its head, and a blinding, terrifying glow churns inside its maw. A blinding rush of white energy erupts from its mouth, and you can tell a devastating breath attack is about to slam down any second. His companions are stuck there, trembling in pure terror as that horrific glow washes over their faces. The blast slams in so hard that the scene gets swallowed up, and it's obvious the attack has finally been unleashed. Miles away, Liana smacks the ground in a hilarious face-first collapse after that brutal, long drop. Flat on her back, she mutters under her breath, still shook by just how terrifying that drop was. She wobbles back to her feet, clutching a shaky breath, and finally lets out a relieved sigh, because she made it. Staring up at that towering cliff, she realizes her spirit enhancement magic was the only reason she's still alive. She drops into a crouch and snaps her focus to the next move, bracing for whatever hits her next. Panic flickers across her face the moment she realizes that the shadow she spotted was the dragon. That tiny, intricate mark on the back of her hand keeps pulsing like it's alive with strange power. She feels the ground shudder with a violent roar, and she instantly senses the battle raging far away. She plants her hand on the ground and the earth starts humming back, proving the vibrations are coming straight from her friend's location. In the distance, she watches a colossal wall of fire tear across the land. She stands there, frozen in disbelief, staring at an inferno that feels like it's swallowing everything whole. Tears flood her eyes as anguish twists her face into a wrecked, silent mask. She screams her lungs out for her friends, begging them, no matter what, not to die. Her grief curdles into a wild fury, and she snaps that the dragon is not allowed to kill them. Suddenly, her face lights up with pure relief as she blurts out her friend's name. Her party looks completely unscathed, and that sight hits her like a wave. Everyone's safe. The flashback bursts open the truth. Her friend didn't survive by luck at all. It was her power that kept them alive. One of them blurts out that Lena's mana amplification is supercharging their defensive magic. In the middle of the roaring inferno, a wiped-out Melissa finally admits she can barely keep going, and Kane blurts out how terrifyingly strong it is. Liana's mind is set. She slams into her spirit enhancement and charges straight at the dragon. She rockets ahead with a blood-curdling battle cry, dead set on clashing head-on with the massive beast. Her companions stare, stunned, as she somehow crushes the roaring beast into submission. From the sidelines, the whole party erupts in cheers, practically sobbing with relief now that they've finally been rescued. She slams that massive, shadowy dragon down and pins it there, holding it tight by the back. She rushes to the black dragon overlord, swallows her pride, and begs forgiveness, because all they want is a tiny sip of its blood. With hope shining in her eyes, she timidly asks the creature if it would grant her request. Colossal dragon towers over her and the whole party in the rocky canyon. Tight close-up locks onto the dragon's eye, burning with raw, untamed fury at the audacity of her. In a whirlwind of movement, the dragon lashes out, thrashing hard, its fury finally exploding into full force. Liana gets launched into the air as the ground explosively rips apart from the sheer impact. Kane screams a desperate warning that arguing with this opponent is pointless because it looks at them like prey. Her face tightens the moment she realizes peace is officially off the table. Screaming that she'll punch it until it breaks, she unleashes a brutal flurry of hits. She clocks the dragon with a brutal uppercut, and its head whips back from the sheer force. Liana's eyes snap wide with terror as the brutal assault finally hits, and the nightmare she's triggered rears up. The dragon staggers back and steals its last ounce of power for one final, desperate strike. A monstrous wave of black fire blasts from its mouth, swallowing the entire battlefield in one brutal rush. Her companions can only stare in terror as the roaring blaze swallows the landscape before their eyes. The whole party just freezes in stunned silence, whispering Liana's name like it's a prayer they can't believe they need. Kane starts blurting out apologies to his companions, fully realizing his deadly misjudgment. He's stunned because that beast is way more monstrous than he ever dared to imagine. His eyes snap off victory and lock onto one brutal goal for the rest of the party: staying alive. He's certain of one thing: those flames would shred Liana too, unless she gets specialized magic to survive. The blazing figure tore out of the heart of the inferno, roaring about how scorching the heat was. Liana stumbles into view, singed but totally fine, and snaps that it was one horrifyingly close call. Kane panics and blurts, "Are you okay?" but she just whines about the smoke. He freezes in sheer disbelief, then mutters under his breath that she's a monster, no doubt about it. Black Dragon Overlord rumbles a deep, menacing growl. Fresh rage surges through him. Its jaws clench tight with pure rage, bracing to rip into another devastating assault. Colossal beast slams its feet to the ground, and its earth-rattling roar makes the whole world tremble. Liana rockets backward the moment the dragon's attack pulverizes the ground under her feet. The dragon keeps tearing through everything, blasting the whole battlefield into a smoking, cratered wasteland. Its fanged maw gapes wide as it blasts out another furious, earth-shaking roar. Her friends mutter that its pride got crushed when its flames finally died out. They're terrified they don't have that one final finishing move to slam the fight shut. Kraft slams the truth down, they've got a real way to win. A flashback rips open the moment the ground cracks wide and detonates with an earth-shaking roar. Kraft flashes back to that nasty rumor. Lena supposedly ripped a hole straight through the testing grounds and it hits Kane like a warning. Melissa snaps back and tells him this isn't some simple hole, what happened is way bigger than that. She blurts out that Liana's power smashed the magically sealed grounds into pure rubble. The dragon barrels ahead, totally unaware of the deadly power about to slam into it. With a blood-pumping battle cry, Liana barrels straight into the enemy charge, pouring her power into every step. She rockets into the sky and turns into a living meteor the second she leaves the ground. Her final move, the Grand Meteor, crashes into the dragon's head with a jaw-dropping, world-shaking blast. Her elbow strike lands with full force, smashing straight into the dragon's skull. The title page slams into her full-force strike, right as her blow meets a massive, terrifying dragon. Her companions stand frozen in silent awe as the dragon's face twists and warps from the hit. The beast gets launched, hurtling backward in a wild skid and smashing headfirst into a brutal rocky cliff. The rock wall gets obliterated in an instant, then blasts outward in a deafening explosion from the brutal impact. Liana drops onto the shattered ground with flawless grace, and her long hair cascades as it settles. Far off, the black dragon overlord sprawls motionless in the rubble, totally beat. She exhales like the fight just tore the breath out of her. Finally, the chaos is over. Her party gapes in stunned silence, their minds still trying to catch up with the insane victory they just witnessed. They burst into jubilant cheers, stunned by her unstoppable, unbelievable strength. Lena crumples to the ground, triumphant grin blazing, and she nods along, agreeing they just won. Her eyes caught the silent calm after the brutal battle she just survived. The party tiptoes up to the fallen dragon, staring at the heap where it lies motionless. They spot it spewing blood, but its chest keeps pumping air, rising, falling like it's clinging to life. Melissa demanded Leona put it down for safety, and Leona's mind practically shattered at the sheer idea. Leona freezes for a second, caught between her doubts as she tries to figure out how to answer that grim, practical demand. Out of nowhere, a tiny dragon lands right on her head, and that shocks Kane into questioning every move she's making. She munches away with these gentle chomps, and it only leaves her already baffled friends even more lost. Kane snaps at her to calm down and back off before she gets too close to that creature. Liana and Melissa are totally melting as they coo over the black dragon overlord's insanely adorable hatchling. They finally understood it. The dragon's wild, furious assault wasn't rage at all, it was pure protection for its baby. The girls are completely locked in, grinning as they joyfully play with the baby dragon, now suddenly orphaned. Men all agree the beast is finally over, so there's no reason left to kill it. Liana jabbed at the parent dragon and snapped, telling them to rush in and mend its pathetic, bleeding wounds. Melissa stands frozen, still shaken in her chest, but the monster is gone from her eyes. Crew rushes to bandage the massive dragon's wounds, while the hatchling flutters anxiously nearby. Parent dragon's usual presence has shifted into something heavy, tired, but finally understanding. Leona winks burst into joy as the grateful parent and their child showered her with sweet, nuzzling affection. Their adventure kicks off the moment they leave the island, cutting through calm, open waters like the sea can't stop them. As the party heads off, the healed dragon's offspring stands there, waving back hard, then keeps staring until they're gone. A sweeping panoramic shot reveals the sprawling, postcard pretty port city they're racing back to. Crew hops off their tiny boat and lands safely at the docks. A young guy in a cape and headband stands on the pier and throws Liana a huge wave. Leona stared at the roaring city ahead, her face lit up with pure hope. He ruffles her hair like it's a joke, and she smiles through her annoyed little protest. Liana looks completely swamped, her mind spinning like crazy as she tries to process everything she just pulled off. Her party is ringed by reporters and buzzing citizens, all itching to get their side of the story. Her friends beam and point at her like she just saved the whole day, the ultimate hero. Her narrator's voice declares that her very first big adventure has finally, and officially, come to an end. Liana's cheeks flare pink with joy as she devours a newspaper article that's praising her heroic deeds like they're legendary. Rumors about her jaw-dropping feat sprint through the city streets like wildfire, reaching everyone in seconds. The shockwave of the news crashes into the lavish estate of yet another ruthless, top-tier S-rank adventurer. The man calmly reads the article about Liana's big accomplishment. He He leans in and praises her win, flashing a grin like, not bad for a newbie, huh? Still, he clocks the truth. She's not anything special anymore, just one more of 5 S-rank adventurers. Elsewhere, an old master lets out a warm chuckle, his eyes gleaming at the raw power in the younger generation. In a dead silent wasteland, a dark-armored elf clocks the new S-rank and can't believe that foolish-looking face staring back at him. The story slams into a brand new location, and the vibe flips hard from everything that came before. Massive, towering Elrond Garden Adventurers Guild building looms into view, impossible to ignore. A loud newspaper headline spills the guild's scandal, blasting them for fraud and a string of back-to-back failures. Guildmaster Barbatus stares at the article, his face twisting with pure shock and fury that flares like a wildfire. In his office, he roars, swearing up and down they'd never ever commit fraud. He replays Tina's warning in his head, don't trust the guild's mysterious power spot. Cold dread hits him the moment he realizes the power is truly gone. He erupts in panic, screaming because he can't stomach the fact that the guild's power spot is fading. Torn newspaper page crackles with a brand new tale about Liana, the hero who just showed up. As he scrolls the news, a man in a beanie erupts in sputtering shock. The unbelievable truth slams into Barbatus: Lena is an S-rank spirit mage. He recalls Leona's expulsion and instantly links it to the guild's power crumbling from within. Crushing truth hits him by getting Leona out of the picture. He's the one who turned into dead weight. He collapses into his chair, crushed under the sheer weight of his monstrous mistake. With both hands on his face, he crumples in pure despair, drowning in regret. His sorrow starts to rot into a quiet, unsettling chuckle. That creepy noise snaps into a full-on, unhinged laugh, pure madness nonstop. Twisted ambition ignites inside him, and he locks onto it like it's his golden chance. His face twists with greed, craving the glory Leona could hand him. He swears he'll drag her back, even as she soaks up every second of her brand new fame and public adoration. After the makeover, Liana stares in shock, because the gorgeous, elegant version of herself staring back feels unreal. Staring into the mirror, she can't shake the question, did this stunning stranger really come from her own face? Her friend Melissa teases her with a playful jab, calling out her totally cliched reaction. A sharp-looking elf shows up in full dapper style, ready to step into a formal engagement at the palace. Lena jolts her gaze upward, totally flustered by his sudden show-up and that ridiculously formal getup. She deadpans that it's just him, and he laughs back, telling her to shut up. Melissa stares at Liana and can't help thinking, she looks exactly like a noble young lady. As Lena sets her sights on the carriage, her nerves practically spill out of her. Her friends totally get her nerves. This is her very first invitation from the king, and the pressure is crushing her. She strides toward the waiting horse-drawn carriage with pure, graceful determination. The coachman halts mid-motion, gripping the fresh letter that's just been delivered. A thrill lights up her face. She can't help but wonder if it might be a fan letter. A shy, thrilled smile spreads across her face the moment she imagines fame. Her smile collapses the second she spots the Elrond family wax seal. Her face instantly hardens with fear, like dread just slammed into her chest. Inside the carriage, she snatches that unwelcome letter open with a grimace that screams trouble. Her eyes sharpen to a point as she starts decoding the ominous message. The letter hit her with a blunt, icy tone, like the sender couldn't care less. She scoffed at the lie it told, that she'd left, while her father's brutal command clawed back into her memory. Her eyes go wide with pure shock as she reads the next set of ruthless demands. Dark, ominous letters crawl across the walls, and the whole little carriage feels like it's holding its breath. Her father's command brooks no argument, so he's dispatching someone right now to drag her back home. She freezes in total disbelief, staring like, what on earth is this supposed to mean? The letter admits it heard about her booming success as a spirit mage. Those words practically scream that he knows she's thriving with her new powers. One single word slices into his message, and suddenly the whole thing turns sinister. She declares that, as an Elrond, it's her duty to throw her full power behind the guild and help it stand strong. A horrifying memory crashes in his menacing grin, and those chilling words that still send shivers down his spine. He told her to celebrate, because now she could finally be useful to him. The terrifying memory of how she once fled from him crashes back into her like it just happened. She remembers him screaming that chopping off her hand could be the key to unlocking her magic. Gasping for air, she's hit by the past all over again, raw trauma crashing back like a wave. Those brutal memories crash around in her head like a storm, ripping straight through her heart with pure agony. Tears of agony and raw frustration shimmered in her eyes, cruelly ironic, like the universe was laughing at her. She got exiled for that, Mark, and now she has no choice. She has to come back because the curse won't let her stay gone. Elvin spots her shaking violently and immediately demands to know what's wrong. She flashes a forced grin, pretending she's only nervous about meeting the king. He nods along, tells her to breathe and chill, and promises they'll get there soon. She lets out a shaky little laugh, all nerves, even as his reassurance tries to calm her down. His concerned gaze screams that he doesn't buy her excuse, not even a little. The royal castle finally hits the skyline, towering spires and all like a king's crown ripping into the clouds. Step inside and boom, you're staring at this massive, breathtaking throne room that feels almost unreal. Elvin and a jittery Lyanna burst into view and announce themselves right before the throne. King Alistair III of Eltona greets them at his formidable court, like the gates of destiny just swung open. Lyanna freezes in shock, staring at the brutal sword scars carved across his face. The sight snaps her into a brutal, heart-stopping flashback of her father's violence. The king locks eyes with her sharp stare and demands to know, "Are you curious about that scar?" He leans in, smiles, and tells her everything's okay. Curiosity is more than welcome. He explains that scar isn't just a wound, it's the proof he fought off enemies to protect his family. He says stone-cold certain that guarding your family is the head's sacred duty. Lyanna leans in, eyes locked, and you can practically feel her serious thoughts grinding into place. She blurted out, panicked out of her mind, asking if the royal family had somehow dragged into a war. Elvin leans in and quietly shuts that idea down, making it crystal clear it wasn't like that. King's face suddenly loosens, and that calm, fatherly wisdom shines through like a warm light. Lena stares at him, trying to wrap her head around every heavy word he's just dropped. The word family keeps ringing in her head, and she can't stop asking what it really means. Her mind drifts straight back to her own home, so different from this place it feels unreal. She still remembers the moment her own family tossed her aside as if she were worthless. Now that she's finally useful, her father might let her back into the family for real. She finally clocks it. His eyes aren't on her at all, they're locked onto her power. He only ever lived for one thing, what his right hand could accomplish for him. That brutal reminder stings her again and drives her to thank the king one more time. The king grabs her hand and pours out his gratitude because she didn't just save his citizens, she saved his family too. He blurted out that the dragon's blood she'd collected didn't just heal, it carried the very epidemic that had just broken out. He tells her that hand lit up the whole world, that very palm saved them all. He admits one brutal truth, his own body can't shield everyone he's sworn to protect. That's why he forged the Royal Guild, to pull in the toughest protectors and unite them under one banner. Lyanna and Elvin lean in as the king lays out his hard-earned philosophy of leadership. He's praying she'll keep using her power for the good of the country. She's so shaken by his kindness that the dam breaks and tears pour out of her without stopping. Between choking sobs, she blurts out that she's never, ever heard words this kind before. Elvin rushes in to calm her down as she spirals into non-stop sobs, tears pouring out with raw, unstoppable emotion. She wipes her tears and it hits her, like everything finally clicks. Her right hand guided her straight into unforgettable moments and the kind of amazing people she could never forget, like Elvin. With that hand, she saved countless people who were desperate for help. With tears still in her lashes, she wipes her face and whispers a quiet yes, claiming her spot like she means it. Still shaken but steady, she flashes a shy smile as she and Elvin slip out of the throne room. A wave of pure joy floods her cheeks with a bright, happy blush right after that emotional meeting. In the carriage, Elvin quickly leans in and gently scolds her for that sudden burst of tears. She whips around to Elvin and declares, with total fire in her eyes, that she's going to get even stronger. She's convinced that if she builds enough strength, she'll finally stand tall, head up, no shame. With a shining, hopeful smile, she leaned in and begged him to keep backing her. He playfully messes up her hair and tells her, "Hurry, get strong." Under a sky packed with stars, the carriage finally rattles up to a grand estate, like fate just pulled up at the gates. His voice cuts in, "Man, it's been ages since I've seen you." Lena jerks her head up, totally shocked by the sudden greeting that hits her out of nowhere. A big, jolly man with a huge mustache swings into view and introduces himself, Paul. He makes it official, he's here to escort her home, straight from her father's orders. Lyanna seethes as she remembers the ugly way Paul used to treat her, because he never once spoke to her with respect. With her fists clenched, she can still feel how easily he dismissed her, and it stings like it just happened. Paul grins and blurts that Master Barbaros is waiting for her at home. With a tight, unshakable look, she flat-out refuses to go back, snapping Paul's world in half. He can't shake the fact that she's rejecting her own father's kindness, while Elvin watches from the side, utterly baffled. He practically begs her to take his top-tier A-rank treatment, while admitting it's a downgrade from the S-rank she's getting now. Paul tries to sweet-talk everyone with meal tickets, but Liana cuts in and demands to know if that's how it's done as a rule. Her companion shuts her down instantly, flat-out refuses the offer with nothing but a blunt no. Paul panics, dropped the bomb on Elrond Garden. She's in deep trouble if she dares to refuse. In the middle of the field, the whole group froze, Leona still reeling as Paul's sudden desperation hit like a punch. Elvin's curiosity hits a breaking point, and he slams his special divine eye ability into action. He turned to Paul and asked, "So tell me, what's making this situation so damn troublesome right now?" His eyes spotted Elrond Garden's power spot is gone, and the mages start losing strength fast. With their power drained, the guild's members are crumbling on high-difficulty quests they can't even finish. He can't ignore it anymore. Those rank fraud allegations have them barely treading water. Lyanna stares on, and it finally clicks. She realizes the real reason they're falling apart in desperation. Elvin leaned in close to the sweating paw, and the second he did, his whole demeanor flipped. Cold smirk on his face, he snaps that Paul is presumptuous for demanding she come back right now. Paul's jaw drops as Elvin clocks him with razor-sharp insight and fires back like he's accusing him of something. The accountant's face twists into a sweaty, stuttering nightmare of panic. Leona steps forward, her face hardening with pure resolve. She turns to Paul and zeroes in on him, determination blazing across her face like a warning. Her eyes blaze with fresh purpose as she braces to speak her decision. She vows loud and clear that she'll be something this country can truly use. Leona boldly declares, "I'm an adventurer of the Altona Royal Guild," like it's her proudest title. Elvin watches her declaration of independence, and a proud little smile lights up her face. Paul panics and demands to know if she's really walking away from her family, shouting that her father will be crushed by her choice. In the blink of an eye, Paul's glorious mustaches got chopped clean off his face. He freezes in total disbelief, realizing his prized facial hair has vanished. Elvin pressed a knife to his throat, and a cold, murderous look twisted his face. He snaps to Paul that Lena isn't coming back, then orders him to get out. Elvin's face twisted into pure fury as he snapped at Paul, warning him not to insult Lyanna. Lena stares at her protector with wide, worried eyes, and in a trembling whisper, she says his name. Paul drops hard to the ground, stammering like a trapped child as Elvin's glare crushes him with terror. Leona twists away, barking instructions at Paul to say goodbye to her father and then leave. Paul shoots upright with a terrified yelp like he can't help but obey. He bolts in pure, comical panic, and Lena just watches him vanish into the distance. Lena stands beside Alvin, quietly telling herself that this is exactly how it should turn out. From a sweeping panoramic view, Altona stands tall and declares she'll survive by her own strength, no one else's hand, just her power. A few days later, Liana strides up to a towering guild hall, standing there like she owns the moment. Inside, she throws her head back in triumph, striking a bold pose and yelling for another request. Elvin watches her electric enthusiasm, clocking that she's determined to stack her achievements higher and higher. He grins, and the moment he sees her endless energy, inspiration sparks like lightning. Elvin finally takes the bold step of introducing the electrifying Leona to a brand new face. He points at the entrance and calls out, "We've got a new member for your party." Shy, hooded Lucy slips in with a nervous hesitation, like she's afraid the whole world might notice her. From across the massive hall, the whole group keeps their eyes glued on the newcomer. Lucy cowers behind a pillar, her nerves on fire as the spotlight closes in. Lyanna offers a warm hello, then Lucy jolts back, caught off guard. Leona tilts her head, thrown off by the girl's nervous, trembling reaction. She mutters through her teeth, annoyed as hell that she's stuck at the same party with this person again. Kane, a towering muscular warrior, strides in and flicks his hand with unshakable confidence. Leona flashes him a greeting, and inside she can't stand that painfully slack look on his face. Kane snaps his focus to the brand new party lineup. Elvin tells Lucy they're putting together a brand new 3-person party. Lucy's in it. Kane stared Lucy down and said he had no clue who she was, like she'd never stepped foot in the guild. Lucy blurts an apology for trying to blend in, while Elvin chews Kane out for that terrifying face. Elvin finally starts spilling why Lucy matters so much to the group, her secret significance. He bursts in and declares that she's a descendant of the legendary Mafra clan. Kane and Lyanna snap to total disbelief the second the famous clan gets mentioned. Lena blurts out, "What's the Mafara clan?" like the name just flew right past her head. In a flashback, Mafara's summoners unleash chaos, fighting demons and setting traps to lure demon lords straight out of the demon realm. Kane remembers the panic. He'd heard their bloodline went extinct, and that made Lucia a one-of-a-kind survivor. Lyanna leans in and asks, "So summoning magic really lives up to all those wild legends?" Elvin breaks the silence and starts revealing just how deep the power of summoning magic really goes. He makes it clear this thing doesn't just act, it commands the spirits that power Leonis' special mark. Lyanna takes in the new info, then goes completely still, eyes sharp, face unreadable, like her mind is firing on full power. Her eyes snap wide with pure wonder as she blurts out, "This is incredible." Breathless with excitement, Lyanna tugged Lucy forward and demanded she show them the spirits. Lucy freezes with nerves, terrified to perform, then Elvin steps in and pushes her forward. She hesitates for a heartbeat, then steps forward and grudgingly agrees to try the summoning. Lucy shuts her eyes and starts her incantation, summoning the spirits of heaven and earth to answer her call. With a fierce cry, she summons the wind spirit and demands it answer. A tiny, sparkling pixie flutters in with delicate wings, and it mews softly like it's revealing a secret. Kane just stares on, looking wildly unimpressed, so disappointed it practically drips off his face. Lyanna is totally mesmerized, cooing nonstop about how adorable that spirit is. The tiny spirit disappears in a flash of sparkles, and Lyanna's hope crumples instantly. Kane grumbles his disappointment, wondering if this ragged mess is even supposed to be legendary magic. That relentless effort drains Lucy to the bone, and she drops hard onto the floor. She blurts out an apology, admitting this is the absolute best she can pull off with her power. The diagram lays bare the truth. Her magic is too weak to keep the spirit's form from fading. The whole crew huddles in that massive hall, and Lucy looks absolutely crushed, like the walls are swallowing her whole. Lucy blurts out an apology, and you can see the shame hit her face, like she just knows she crushed everyone's hopes. Lena can't shake the thought, Lucy looks like a total failure in her eyes. Lucy's spirit crumples, her D-rank status makes her feel like she's totally useless, even though she knows she's got real potential. With every summon that fails, she's convinced she's nothing more than dead weight, like nobody could ever truly need her. Lyanna lunges forward and traps Lucy's hands in her own. She snaps to a startled Lucy, telling her to stop wearing that heartbreak on her face. Lena blurts out that she's never seen magic like this before, and her excitement practically sparks in the air. A blazing burst of light snaps between their joined hands as the power surges through them. Lucy gasps, completely blindsided, as a wave of overwhelming magical power crashes into her. Leona whips around to Elvin and tells him she finally gets why he matched them up. She's betting that her mono-amplification can finish Lucy's summoning magic, like snapping the last piece into place. Kane still won't buy it. He keeps side-eyeing the whole thing, wondering if it can actually fix a summoning that's already messed up. Elven scholars argued that Lyanna's spirit magic should mesh perfectly with summoning. Lucy suddenly surges with scorching heat as Lena's power blasts through her body. Lyanna can't contain her excitement. She begs Lucy to show her the summoning magic again. With fresh power roaring in her chest, Lucy nods, hope blazing, determination etched across her face. A vicious storm of winds whips around her as she coils up the spell. You can feel the magic roaring in the air, then it explodes into its full, crushing power. With a fierce battle cry, the young woman screams out and unleashes her summoning magic. A blinding flash erupts, and from that light, a magnificent winged being tears into existence. Her companions go utterly silent. One can only whisper about how stunning it is, while the other stares in pure disbelief. The beautiful creature finally snaps into focus, fully materialized as the wind spirit Sylph. In the endless courtyard, a tiny band of adventurers huddles up, staring down a towering spirit. Lucy, the self-proclaimed failure, can't even process it. Somehow she actually succeeded, and it feels unreal. She can hardly believe it. She actually manifested one of the four great spirits, and her clan's pride swells with pure astonishment. With a grateful snap of her head to her friend, Lucy beams and gives Lyanna full credit for this unbelievable win. Lyanna beams with pure warmth, and you can feel it. She's sharing in her friend's deep, unstoppable joy. She spills the truth about her magic, draws in the spirit's mana, and lets that power turn into a heartfelt thanks. Two young women stare up at the summoned being, their faces lit up with raw, breathless awe. Lyanna can't help but stare. This spirit feels divine to her, like a stunning, powerful goddess wrapped in living light. The spirit's one stoic face starts to split, and surprise flashes through it like a crack of light. A tight close-up catches her lips parting. She's about to unleash a stunned gasp. Her calm shatters into wild, manic glee because a mere human has finally brought her fully to life. With a dazzling grin, she blurts that she has to give her full praise for this incredible feat. The spirit unleashes a brutal surge of power, and it tosses her companions into pure, scrambling chaos. Lena's smile drops fast. She admits this is nothing like what she'd pictured, and the disappointment hits hard. Cain breaks down in full tears the moment he sees a real spirit standing there. While everyone else gushes over the spirit's beauty, Lyanna's face stays tight with doubt and sharp suspicion. The spirit straightens up and asks Lucy, her summoner, to speak the command she wants carried out. A terrifying surge of spirit force bursts out, slamming into the two girls and driving them backward. With terrifying eagerness, Sylph offers to cut down any enemy the moment you give the word. Lucy watches, dread creeping up fast, because she can feel the conversation sliding straight into darkness. Her spirit creeps right up to her, snarling a warning. If she wastes that power, the consequences will come crashing down. Her companions get slammed back by the powerful spirit's intimidating aura. Worry is carved into their faces as they feel that heavy, threatening pressure closing in. Sylph hangs in tense silence, vibrating with eager anticipation, waiting for the summoner's command. With her courage slipping, Lucy steels herself, pulls in a sharp breath, and shouts the spirit's name. She demands transport to the Pina Desert, way more normal than anyone expects. Cain and Lyanna stare at the request like it's a joke, so simple it's messing with their brains. Cain tells them, do this and we'll shave off a full 5 days, no more slogging on horseback. Elvin blurts out that the order is way too trivial for all this, but Leona doesn't even bat an eye. He can't help wondering if this is the usual way her clan travels. With a sharp snap of her fingers, she summons a spirit, and out of nowhere, a wind starts whipping into existence. She calls those tasks effortless and then hauls them up with a crushing whirlwind. As Cain throws up protests, Lyanna's grin lights up, because before he can stop it, they're yanked into the air. Lucy clenches her staff, her tiny body vibrating with tension as the journey barrels toward her. She snaps her final order to the spirit, and the moment it hears her, their flight begins. Lena screams with wild, unfiltered joy as they blast straight up into the sky. At top speed, their faces warp comically as they shriek in pure terror. Lucy begs the spirit to slow down, but it doesn't listen. With a wicked grin, Sylph declares she's about to crank the speed up even more. Far below, Elvin squints as a dazzling light streak tears across the sky, and he screams. With a steady smile, he wishes his two friends luck as they step into a truly deadly journey. Then it hits him he totally missed crucial details, but he brushes off the worry like it's nothing. At Elrond Garden, an enraged voice rips through the air, demanding to know why Lyanna still hasn't come back. Barbatus erupts with fury, blasting his subordinate with a scorching fireball for failing him. The man snaps back that the guild's downfall is on him because he exiled Lyanna. Barbatus yanks him in, rage burning as he realizes his own subordinate is now turning on him. Two subordinates stared in terror as their guildmaster's violent rage exploded. A young woman steps in, calm as a blade, and addresses the furious man, father, right to his face. He's stunned to see her here, staring at her like, wait, why aren't you on your assigned mission? Panic surges as he panics over how much she caught and scrambles to figure out how he's even going to explain it. He clamps a hand over his mouth, steels himself for a second, then finally speaks to her. He fires off a hard question: why did she ditch her top priority mission? She calmly reports that the power spot is gone and that their party has deserted. She tells them the others ditched this guild for bigger, better ones, and now she's desperate for replacements. Deep in his chest, rage seethes as he spits curses at the departed members for their cowardice. He flashes a sympathetic smile and apologizes, like it's his fault for the pain she's been through. He can't wait. He eagerly steps up to hunt for replacements and shield the guild's priceless pride. Her voice turns razor-sharp as she snaps that he answers her question first. Cold sweat breaks out on him as he's hit with pure fear from his daughter's sudden, terrifying change in tone. He shoots up a shaky defense, insisting, through pure nerves, that it was just a simple misunderstanding. Her face swallowed by shadow, she demands, trembling with rage, whether he exiled her sister penniless. He immediately spins a lie about paying her money, but she spits it back like it's trash. He keeps pushing his made-up tale, insisting she won't come back home now. He blasts his missing daughter, calling her heartless, and accusing her of scheming to grab all the power for herself. Tina clenches her fist at her side, and you can practically hear her patience snapping in real time. She shuts him down cold, insisting with iron certainty that her sister isn't heartless at all. She claims Lyanna didn't just say no for no reason. She says he hit her with a cold, heartless move first. She clocks it instantly. He used her absence to slip Lena into exile. A grim, grainy transition panel slams onto the screen and hits you with the full weight of her accusation. She remembers the moment she finally made it back home, then her sister was gone and panic hit like a punch. She snaps back to it, one tiny detail that flips everything, a whole cake tossed into the trash. In a flashback, a kitchen worker leans in and snaps that she better not ask a single thing about the cake. She insists it's unthinkable. Her sister would never toss the celebratory cake and just walk away. Cornered by her razor-sharp logic, her father snaps into a dramatic, sobbing outpouring that turns the room into chaos. Tina stares at his emotional outburst with a totally stone-cold, deadpan face. He insists his harshness wasn't cruelty at all, it was just a parent's twisted, misguided love. He sobs and begs, there's no way any parent would ever choose to watch their child suffer. In his head, he snickers and congratulates himself for pulling off an A-rank performance. He concocts a fresh lie, swearing Lyanna bolted in shame because the cake got ruined. He spins this made-up tale like it's the only truth, then pleads with her to swallow it and believe him. Tina keeps locking eyes with him, her plain expression saying absolutely nothing. When she says she understands, he erupts with pure joy, like a relief celebration exploded in his chest. He boldly declares he's meeting Lyanna face-to-face to hear her story firsthand. Tina calmly pivots away from him and declares, straight to the point, that she's clocking out for a vacation. She tilts her gaze to the sky and slips in a chilling hint about just how long those vacations might last. He screams her name in pure panic, and it hits him, her leaving just changed everything for the guild. Her leaving slams the room with a sudden gust of wind. He's still stabbing at the empty air where his daughter used to stand, even though it won't bring her back. He can only mutter, stuck in disbelief as his mind scrambles to catch up to what's happening. He panics hard, spiraling over who could possibly take over the brutal high-difficulty missions without their star adventurer. It hits him like a wrecking ball. Without Tina, he's completely finished. Suddenly, the grand hall doors get ripped off their hinges with a deafening crash, blasting wide open. Armored knights rolled in and declared they were military police, there to investigate him for fraud. His face twists into a horrifying mask of sweat, pure guttural terror blasting out of him. Outside, loud shouts erupt as the police close in, trying to pin down their resisting target. Violent grunts and clashing blows thunder from inside the guild hall. Two towering, winged, elf-like women stand in a dead, empty wasteland, staring ahead in shock like they just witnessed something impossible. A huge, empty desert sprawls for miles, jagged rock formations jutting out beneath a pale, cloudy sky. A shadow slams into the sand with a violent boom, blasting up dust and debris like a tiny explosion. Lucy and Lena burst out of the sand, coughing and choking hard from the brutal impact. Lyanna is fuming because she's totally buried in sand, and it even gets into her mouth. Tiny Spirit grins at how much they love it, while Lucy insists the trip was way too intense for her liking. Lyanna starts brushing dust off her clothes, and that intricate mark on her hand is suddenly impossible to miss. Lucy shoots Lyanna a heartfelt apology, confessing she only managed to summon the spirit because Lyanna helped her. With a trembling look on her face, she bites back a sigh. She can't get a grip on the spirit's powers, not yet. She drops into a deep bow and confesses that her grandmother was way better at flying and nailing the landing. Lyanna studies Sylph, her brows furrowing as the spirit gives Lucy a dead-cold stare. Sylph lifted her graceful hand and readied herself to blast the summoner for coming up short. She snaps that it's goodbye time because Lucy's fledgling magic is finally kicking in. Lucy swallows her pride and apologizes for her weak magic, then asks hopefully, "Can I try summoning again?" Sylph's face tightens fast, severe disapproval crashing in as that hopeful question hangs in the air. Spirit snaps out a cold, dismissive sound, right when Lucy pleads for help. Behind the scenes, everything melts away into a dark, chaotic void, like Lucy's devastation spilled out and took over the world. Sylph gives the little summoner a chilling goodbye, then bursts into sparkles and disappears. Lucy whispers, "Just as I figured," and her shoulders drop like the fight's already been lost. Tears shimmer in her eyes as the truth hits hard: she can't ever be like her grandmother. Her head is a non-stop storm of the same brutal thought, her grandmother's legacy haunting her over and over. Struck by crushing despair, Lucy crumples to her knees in the bleak wasteland. Leona stares in stunned silence, her heart sinking as her friend's composure finally shatters. Shock flashes across her face as she scrambles to make sense of the chaos that hits out of nowhere. She blurts out Lucy's name, her voice cracking with pure worry for her friend. Lena leans in, trying to yank Lucy's attention, and blurts out, "What's wrong?" Then it hits her and she blurts out where their companion Kane has disappeared to. Lucy snaps her head up, her despair gets shoved aside by pure confusion as she hears the question. The endless, empty desert stretches out, and all it shows are the two girls, plus one lonely staff lying abandoned in the sand. Out here in the endless, rocky wasteland, they're left all alone, because their companion is gone for good. In perfect, synchronized panic, both girls shriek, and then it hits them: Kane has vanished out of nowhere. Lyanna frantically blurts that the landing coordinates must have shifted, then turns the blame on herself like she's the one who did it. Lucy snaps that she's totally useless, like she's been thrown out and left behind. Lyanna steadied her nerves, insisting Kane was probably still alive, and urging them to push forward. A tiny blush blooms on Lucy's cheek as she's hit by how calm her friend is. Lucy can't stop staring, completely blown away by how perfectly calm that S-rank adventurer Lena is. Leona stares forward, locks her face into steel, and buries the chaos churning inside her chest. Inside, panic claws at her as she admits she has zero clue about the details of their mission. Lyanna lunges for a rocky ledge, but her footing slips and she can't get a solid hold. She spots the treacherous footing and realizes her jump just doesn't have the power to make it. She decides to hunt on foot, then rushes to apologize to Lucy because she still couldn't find Kane. With a weird little grin, Leona says they might have to pull off this request solo. Her eyes stay locked on the moment, but inside, worry whips around like a storm. She can't shake Lucy's earlier distress and it gnaws at her. She just can't force herself to ask what happened. She shoved through anyway, not because she wanted to, because she refused to let Lucy freak out. Lucy shoots her a concerned look, and the moment she does, Leona jolts back with a flustered, broken answer. Lena snaps, asking Lucy right now if she knows what's inside their current request. Lucy just stares, ice calm and unshakable, and she's ready to drop the info like it's already decided. She pulls out the request form, and Leona's tears instantly turn to relief. The sky hangs over Rocky Canyon as they gear up to review the mission, like something big is about to drop. Lucy lays out the battered document that spells out their mission: to take control of a monster. She's staring at the page like, "I've never heard of some creature called a sand dust leopard, what even is that?" A sudden, brutal blast of wind slams into both girls at once, tearing through the canyon and whipping them around in shock. The wind yanks Lucy's precious request form right out of her hands, and it rockets away into the air. They can only watch in helpless horror as the fierce wind rips the paper straight out of their hands. Lucy blurts out an apology and Leona beams at her like, "Don't stress it, everything's fine." Leona steals their heart, convinced they'll pull this off even if Kane isn't there to back them up. Lucy can't hide her doubts. She flat out says a D-rank like her has no business taking on something like that. With a radiant, confident grin, Leona leans in and tells you everything's going to be fine. Leona brags that she didn't just fight the legendary Black Dragon Overlord, she crushed him. The quest form they recovered starts to hover in the air, and with it comes a game-changing detail they somehow missed. The fine print quietly spells it out: this mission targets a pack of about 20 leopards. Two girls press on despite the gut-punch truth. They know the odds are crushing, and still they don't stop. They claw their way across brutal, jagged rocks, springing from ledge to ledge with razor-sharp timing. Lena snaps that her throat feels bone dry, and Lucy immediately jumps in. Yeah, she's so thirsty. Lucy admits she's dying of thirst, and exhaustion hits her face like a wave. Lena tells Lucy, "Just summon a water spirit, then we'll finally get something to drink." Lucy's confidence cracked, doubt crawled across her face as she questioned whether she could really summon. After a quick breather, she spots a patch of shade and agrees, "All right, fine, she'll try summoning." Lucy manages to summon a minuscule mermaid-like water spirit into existence. Lyanna shudders and blurts out, "Seriously, the spirit's manifestation is freezing." She blurts out, eyes shining, that they should try a full materialization right now. Lucy's face tightens with worry and she hesitates, unsure how to react to the suggestion. Liana suddenly locks in, her eyes blaze as inspiration hits like lightning. She suddenly gets the idea, she can fully materialize herself and scan for Cain from above. Lucy stays stone still, her face swallowed by shadow, unable to spit out a single ounce of that excitement. She rushes to Liana with a choked-up apology, her voice trembling with the weight of failure. Stuck in the rocky path, Lucy admits the truth, she can't pull off a full materialization. Liana's jaw drops, her friend suddenly slams the door on her and pure confusion crashes over her. Her eyes go wide with shock as she scrambles to make sense of what's happening. The truth hits the moment the ground erupts, massive, vicious sand dust leopards charge into view right in front of them. The leopard explodes forward with a vicious snarl, teeth bared and ready to tear into its next victim. Creature's roaring maw bursts into view, barely inches from Liana's terrified face. Rocky ground snaps into view, and you can feel the deadly battle about to explode. A razor-sharp close-up rips into the leopard's vicious snarl, and those drooling fangs hang there like a warning before it strikes. A nasty spray from the beast hits the ground and sizzles like a warning, burning up the silence with every ominous crackle. Lucy claims she's a sand dust leopard, and then points out dead serious that they're way bigger than she ever imagined. Leona snaps into a battle stance and orders Lucy to back her up. Her face turns iron, resolve snapping into place as she readies herself to stand against that monstrous pack. Liana rockets forward, screaming at the leopards so they'll lock onto her instead of anyone else. Her whole plan is ruthless, she makes them lock onto her so every attack lands on her and nowhere else. She darts between its lunges, deliberately placing herself right in front of the beast as the perfect target. She reels them in, then braces herself and unleashes a devastating counterattack. She swings a brutal punch and lands it clean on one of the charging creatures. To her utter shock, her fist sinks right through the beast, and the thing instantly crumbles into sand. The leopard fades away behind her and it leaves her frozen, stunned, clueless, and completely off balance. She whips aside the next strike, then it hits again, the same weird phenomenon replaying like a curse. Liana slams down on another leopard, only for it to crumble to sand again, right in her hands. She clocks the truth, these bots are fakes, and now she's betting the real controller is hidden inside the one who is. A fresh wave of tiny, hyena-shaped sand monsters erupts out of nowhere, rushing in to turn the fight even nastier. With a face full of panic, Liana stares at the matching sand beasts trying to figure out which one is the real deal. Without warning, a saber-toothed sand dust leopard rockets at her, and it hurls a foul, spitting substance straight in her face. The blast hits her hard and she staggers, choking out a brutal cough. She realizes it's poison at once. Sure, her magic shields her, but the attack is still foul and stomach-turning. Her face smeared with grime, she glares straight at those creatures and spits, bastards. She shuts down the search for good and decides she'll just smash every last one of them. With a blur of speed, she explodes forward and pounds the beast with a brutal streak of strikes. She clocks it as the final one, then confidently declares, "That's the real enemy." The moment her punch lands, the beast shatters, and a brutal sand claw snaps shut around her like a trap. Her eyes blow wide with terror as the truth hits. She realized she'd walked straight into a trap. Then she finally sees the real size of the danger, massive leopards closing in from every side, a giant horde surrounding her. With nothing left but despair, she can't stop asking herself, how many of them could there possibly be? The unrelenting pack starts shoving her back with brute force, and their sheer numbers crush any hope she has left. She realizes she can live through this, but Lucy can't, and that fear claws at her as she fights for her companion's safety. In the blink of an eye, Lucy surges forward and snatches Liana, yanking her out of the chaos. She rips her friend out of the monster's swarm with brutal force. Lucy groans under Lena's crushing weight, but she refuses to quit and fights to finish the rescue. As Lucy cradles a surprised Lena, she blurts out, "We've got to retreat for now." Her whole body ignites with raw power as she flips on her mana amplification ability. She shoots Liana a desperate plea, begging her to call forth her spirit self and hunt down Cain. Elsewhere, other adventurers pin their hopes on Cain, convinced his hard-earned experience is the map that leads them straight to victory. Bruised, Liana forces a shaky, determined grin and nods along, fully buying into her friend's plan. Lucy shot a worried glance down at her companion, like something was terribly wrong. She stares at the horrifying wreck Liana's become after that brutal, long battle. Guilt crashes over her as she sees her friends battered and broken. She knows Liana's wrecked, she's been fighting that monstrous horde all alone, and you can feel the pain in every hit. With her hands shaking, she's hit by this crushing urge to be useful to the party right now. But she's convinced she can't pull off a full materialization of a spirit. A sharp purple and white logo flashes on screen for just a blink. Right when she lets her guard down, she admits the truth: spirits only hear the summoners they recognize. Tears pour down her cheeks as she sobs, begging the thought that Sylph must truly hate her for calling herself a failure. Leona just stares, her face twisted with shock and worry as her friend's breakdown spirals out of control. Lucy hisses that hating a pathetic summoner like her is the most natural thing in the world. Flashback snaps on. Young Lucy steps up to her stern grandmother, demanding to know if spirits are real. Her grandmother snaps at her, demanding answers. How could a Mafara bloodline even utter something like that? She snaps the dejected young girl back into training and barks at her to stop spouting nonsense. The child storms up to her, points a finger, and says she's never once been shown what a real spirit looks like. She blurts that she's never summoned a thing in her life, and calls it totally weird that anyone expects her to start now. Her grandmother's harsh face cracks just a little, and in her eyes there's a pain she's been swallowing in silence. In a final burst of frustration, young Lucy screams that maybe spirits just don't exist. Fuming at those words, her grandmother snaps at the little girl to watch her mouth. She drops into a seat hard, ready to lay down a no-nonsense lecture on the little kid. She rips open the tale of their ancestors, warriors who wielded ruthless magic and crushed the Demon Lord's army. Her voice drops to a cold, grim whisper as she tells us the Demon Lord struck back and erased their entire clan without mercy. She reveals how the surviving few vanished into hiding and secretly handed their magic down like a dangerous secret torch. She snaps at them, seething that their power is reserved for true emergencies, not for a kid's every whim. The young Lucy drops her head in shame, shoulders sagging as if the world just crushed her. Her grandmother's expression melts, those tight wrinkles on her brow easing like frustration, and maybe a sting of regret just slipped away. A tiny hopeful spark flares up by her face, and suddenly the memory shifts. A shadowy, in-between panel slams the scene into a brighter memory. A younger Lucy can't believe her eyes as a gorgeous spirit scoops her up and whisks her soaring through the sky, pure wonder lighting up her face. Lucy bursts into exhilarated laughter as her grandmother leans in, proudly grilling her about what she thinks of Sylph's power. Lucy can't believe it. Her grandmother was the real deal, a true summoner, and Sylph just stares, impressed by how insanely skilled she is. She grins from ear to ear, telling him that a summoner's overflowing confidence isn't just helpful, it's the fuel behind their power. Soaring beside that breathtaking being, the young girl leans in and shouts, "Sylph." With sparkling eyes, she leans in and asks, "When I become a summoner, will Sylph soar back with me again?" The spirit leans over her with a soft, knowing smile, and somehow she just feels a quiet vow settling into the air. Lucy's grandma warns it might drag out to 5 years, but Lucy's got her head in the clouds. She's praying it'll be 3. She jokes that waiting drives her nuts, then leans in and tells the kid to hurry up. A montage slams in 8 brutal years of training, and still, she can't summon a single spirit. Dark, grainy static crawls across the screen, snapping the story back to the present in an instant. In the crushing darkness, one tiny sparkle ignites, pure hope burning bright. Lyanna leans in, hanging on every word, her face full of empathy and worry burning right behind her eyes. Lucy choked back tears and admitted her win wasn't really hers at all. It was Lyanna's borrowed power that carried her. Lyanna leans in and sees it. Lucy's love for her grandmother is real, deep, and fearless. Lucy swallows her feelings and grudgingly agrees, then points out the brutal truth: Sylph has completely forgotten she even exists. With a glowing grin, Lyanna tells him she's sure Sylph hasn't forgotten her for a second. Lucy blindsided everyone by demanding an explanation for why her friend had so much confidence. Lyanna shoots her a reminder. Right before she vanished, the spirit whispered that she's the little summoner. She says that this is the exact special name Sylph used back when Lucy was just a kid. A sharp flashback slams Sylph's promise into the past. She swore she'd wait for her little summoner. Lyanna's sweet moment gets ripped apart when she erupts with a scream, warning everyone about a sand panther bearing down to attack. Lena fires up Lucy and tells her to dig deep, trust herself, and try talking to herself one last time. She whips around to face the beast and braces herself to fight for her friend. The third girl drops to her knees and hurls magic 2/8 straight into the fight. Lyanna's words thunder in Lucy's head, and a fresh spark of stubborn determination lights up her eyes. Lyanna rockets into the fight, launching herself straight into the chaos against the sand beasts. She strides straight at the snarling sand dust leopard, fearless, like she's about to tear into a fight. Leona rockets across the ruins at mind-bending speed, a streak of pure motion slicing through the empty wasteland. Lucy, her companion, screams her name in panic. Comically distressed, Lucy hurries to keep pace as the battle rips forward at breakneck speed. Leona's stomach drops. There are just way too many enemies swarming her, and she can't possibly fend them all off. Frustration burns in her chest because her speed just won't rise, and that's putting them right at a losing disadvantage. Suddenly, a monstrous sandstorm explodes into the sky, whipping around them in a raging whirlpool. Lena throws her hands up to shield her eyes, and the blinding chaos hits her like she's trapped inside a raging tornado. The wind slams into her, and flying debris whips her off her feet, reeling hard. She clenches her teeth and braces, taking the punishing wind head-on. The relentless storm keeps pounding her from every direction, battering her without mercy. Lucy is caught in the raging tempest, and she screams out in alarm. She knows she has to call Sylph fast, because their missing companion Cain is still out there. But that brutal wind lashes at them so hard they can barely think, let alone focus enough to cast the magic. A brutal gust yanks her off her feet, blasts her staff into the air, and tears a scream from her throat. Lying on the jagged rocks, she feels despair crash over her, wondering if this is the moment she's going to die. The brutal will to live surges through her, powered by one crushing regret she can't shake. Tight close-up locks onto the intricate triangular pattern etched across her one-of-a-kind headband. Her thoughts snap into focus. She has to apologize to Sylph for making her wait for so long. With her final shred of strength, she grabs Sylph's attention and begs him, "Just one more answer, please." She screams the incantation, and an earth-shaking wave of explosive power bursts free. The story yanks us into a scorching stretch of barren sand, with jagged rock formations looming in the far distance. Elsewhere, a battered Cain finally catches his breath, coughing hard from the sheer damage he just took. A lone warrior barrels across a dead wasteland, rationing every ounce of strength like it might be his last. He weighs the idea of firing off a smoke signal to snap his separated comrades back into the plan. An odd noise snaps him upright, and a question starts bubbling on his lips. He watches the horizon swallow itself. An enormous, pitch-black whirlwind twists up in the distance, and the air feels ominous. Panic flashes across his face the moment he spots the black sandstorm of hunting leopards. Dread hits him. Lyanna and the others still don't have a clue about the monster's weakness. A desperate urge to warn them how to bring down those creatures burns through him like fire. Panic sparks in his widened eye as the awful truth hits: his friends are in deadly danger. Utter helplessness hits him like a truck. He slams his fist into the ground, cursing the miles between them. Out of nowhere, Lucy bursts across the sky in sheer shining power, Sylph, radiating pure spirit, yelling his name like it's destiny. Cain freezes in total disbelief, staring at the person in front of him like he can't believe it's really Lucy. With a brutal gust of wind, Lucy and Sylph rocket down, grab him, and hurl him skyward. Lucy fires off a fast apology for that brutal flight, and they blast through the sky at full speed. He realizes the wind pressure is gone, and suddenly it feels like the world is cradling him in a soft, gentle breeze. With a proud grin, he tells Lucy she's gotten way stronger. His face suddenly hardens the moment he spots their destination way down below. He yells that they've hit the perfect spot, then urges her to let him down. Cain drops into the canyon like a silent shadow, and Lucy and Sylph hover overhead, hanging in the air above him. Lyanna spots him, and in pure relief she blurts out his name, shocked he's finally here. She's totally thrown off when he rockets forward, sure it's just a rock, like it's the answer to everything. Leaping through the sky, he shouts his final move, *** secret sword neogrand blade ***. He blares an urgent explanation at Lyanna, and boom, he's telling her the sand leopard is a clone. His blazing blade carves straight through the massive rock, tearing it apart into two perfect halves. The illusion cracks wide open, and a sand leopard clone, split in two, gets exposed like it never had a chance. The creature's body rips apart instantly, collapsing into a dead, lifeless heap of black sand on the ground. He tells them the whole secret: hit the real body wrapped in that rock disguise and you'll clinch the win. Turning to Lucy, he grins and says that smashing rocks is going to be a piece of cake for her now. Lucy stands alone for a moment, her silence screaming as she weighs the new mission ahead. Determination ignites in her eyes as she clenches that small fist tight. She whips around to her companions and gives them a simple, heartfelt thank you that lands right in their hearts. The whole canyon detonates into a wild montage of cracking rock and flying debris everywhere. Lucy turns into pure lightning, tearing through the world with her insane, unstoppable power. Several sand leopards shattered their rock disguises, and the stone peeled away, dissolving into nothingness. Kane screams a frantic warning. One of the creatures slipped out of the barrage and got free. The surviving beast rockets toward an unsuspecting Lucy, and Liana shrieks her name in pure terror. Right on the edge of disaster, Self materializes out of nowhere between them, and the monster slams to a stop mid-stride. The spirit glares with raw rage, snarling for answers. What in the world is that beast doing to her summoner? She rips loose a devastating whirlwind blast, and her jaw-dropping power is on full display. Lucy stares at the massive display, and awe and shock hit her all at once. A wild swirl crashes into the last monster, and it disappears in one flash of light. Sylph grins in victory. She twists her power into a dazzling storm and wipes the threat clean off the board. Leona can only stare in disbelief, one hand clamped over her mouth as the whole spectacle crashes over her. Canyon fell silent, choked with rubble and the sandy remains of the leopards. Lucy rushes to her protector and blurts out her gratitude, thanking the spirit for pulling her back from death. Sylph, visibly flustered, snaps that it's a summoned being's job to protect its summoner, no questions, no doubt. She's left totally stunned by the sight of pure, tearful joy blazing across Lucy's face. Lucy drops to her knees and pours out a heartfelt apology for making Self-wait drag on for 8 brutal years, just to finally reach full materialization. Her face is a full-on storm of raw regret as she pours out a heartfelt apology. Spirit froze at that sentiment, staring like, why apologize at all? She waves off the delay like it's dust in the wind, claiming 8 years means nothing to someone who lives forever. Lucy fires back, questioning why Sylph's earlier words were so brutal, because it sounded like he'd never want to be summoned again. Self blasts out, a summoner and a spirit are the same, and the second she says it, her anxiety starts crashing through her like lightning. She's dead serious. Lucy has to walk in overflowing with confidence because only then can they be strong together. The spirit's harsh words melt away as she looks at Lucy and realizes who she's become. She walks back her earlier words and admits she'd actually be totally fine with being summoned by this new Lucy. Lucy's face erupts with pure joy the moment she finally accepts herself. From far away, Liana and Kane lock eyes and watch that touching moment unfold, smiling like their hearts are glowing. Suddenly, Sylph's body starts to glitch. Her magic power is vanishing fast right before everyone's eyes. Lucy stands alone in the silent canyon, while Lena strides right up to her. She thanks Lena for everything, then swears right there that one day she'll pull off full materialization all by herself. Liana and Kane throw their full support behind her, cheering her on as she steps into this brand new path. Lena steals a quiet breath of self-reflection, her face soft with deep, thoughtful calm. She's so relieved Lucy's finally feeling better, and she can't help wondering if she really made a difference. That fierce bond between Lucy and Syl hits her like a lightning bolt, dragging up a sweet, tender memory she thought she'd buried long ago. Her mind drifts straight to her sister, Tina, and right there, a wistful look creeps across her face. She can't help wondering if this win finally pushed her one step closer to becoming more like Tina. Fresh off her journey, Liana steps into the familiar, loud city streets, surrounded by hustle, noise, and life everywhere. She strides up to the massive estate that's now her new home, with storm clouds hanging low overhead. Bursting back into the scene, she's hit with a wild, sudden urge to run straight to Tina. As she strides toward that ornate gate, her mind gets swallowed up by nothing but thoughts of her sister. Tina has been gone for so long and she can't stop worrying. She keeps wondering how Tina's doing all this time. Out of nowhere, a shadow rockets forward and slams into her, locking her in a fierce, surprise tackle hug. The impact hits like a hammer, and both of them get slammed straight to the ground. They tumble into a ridiculous rolling heap, and Liana yelps in total shock. Lena shot upright, clutching her aching head after that sudden, brutal collision. She snaps her gaze upward, eyes blazing with shock because the attacker standing there is the last person she ever expected. A single, glistening tear spills down the girl's cheek as she stands there, trembling like the moment could shatter. The girl stares down at Liana, and the look on her face is pure, crushing emotion. Tina sobs as she blurts out to her older sister, Liana, her voice shaking with raw tears. On the new chapter's title page, Tina looms over Liana, who's still stuck on the ground. Lena jolts her head up in pure shock, staring at her sister like, "Wait, why are you here?" She's terrified Tina showed up just to drag her back home now that she already sent their father's messenger packing. Tina leans in and whispers, "Sister," her voice so heavy with pent-up emotion it almost breaks. Her expression twists in this hilarious jolt as she erupts into tears, spilling pure relief and wild joy all at once. She hurls herself at Leona once more, crashing into her with another gut punch of a powerful emotional embrace. Tears streaming down her face, she blurts out just how badly she's been craving to see her sister again for ages. The two sisters sink to the ground and lock into a tender, tear-filled embrace that feels straight from the heart. Tina pressed her face sweetly to Leona's cheek, affection pouring out of every nuzzle. Leon keeps getting that warm, affectionate nuzzling, while he just stands there, grinning and blushing like he can't believe it. Leona bursts into laughter and tells her sister to stop, because that sweet little gesture tickles her to pieces. Elvin pops up at the gate, grinning, and teasingly asks if their emotional reunion is finally over yet. The sisters shoot up in total embarrassment because they finally realize Elvin's been watching them non-stop the whole time. They rip their eyes away from each other, and a hot, shared blush floods both of their faces like they've been caught doing something they shouldn't. Elvin cuts through the awkward gate's small talk and suggests they come inside for dinner. He enthusiastically offers to set aside a part of the meal and prepare it for Tina too. Inside, a jaw-dropping, sparkling feast sprawls across the grand dining table like pure luxury. Lena's jaw drops in pure awe, and gratitude hits her so hard she can barely breathe at the sight of that incredible meal. Tina, scarfing down her food, blurts out that she's worried sick about the life Leona has been forced to live. Elvin calmly turned to Tina and asked, "So what pulled you all the way to the kingdom of Eltona?" Lyanna chews up her words, cheeks puffed, then gears up to tell them exactly what's going on. A young woman with pale hair finally starts talking, and her voice turns deadly serious. Tina's sister flips, exploding with fury and swearing the story she heard is nothing but a total lie. Lena clenches her fork, and her face tightens with raw, blazing intensity. With a face full of comical misery, Tina spills how she clawed through a desperate trip with zero money and no clothes. She tells him straight up, without Elvin handing her that meal, she could have starved to death. To show just how furious she is, Tina slams her fork into the meat like she's trying to take it out on the world. Lena's smile collapses as a cold shadow swallows her face. She finally realizes her father lied to her. Tina and Elvin go completely speechless as Leona's mood flips, suddenly terrifying like a nightmare snapping into place. Chilling menace clings to Lena as she mutters through her teeth that her father is unforgivable. A razor-close shot catches the chilling rage blazing in Leona's eye, pure determination with nowhere to hide. Elvin and Tina tense up and watch as Leona gets swallowed by a furious, silent rage. After a breath, Leona's seething rage finally fades and her face slips into a cold, neutral look. With a single finger raised, she snaps, "There's one more thing we need to talk about." She takes one look at the mansion and realizes the whole place has turned into a full-on magical power spot. Tina jerks her head up, eyes wide in disbelief at this bizarre declaration. Leon says that feeling the magic spill over you is basically the same as how it feels back home. Tina confirms it. She says that magical aura practically guided her straight to the mansion. Lyanna leans in, eyes locked, and her mind races as she absorbs the shocking new truth her sister just dropped. With a calm face, Tina quickly figures out that Leona has been living there for a month and a half. Tina's stomach drops when she finally realizes just how long her sister has been standing there. Her sweet smile flips into something cold, and when she names it, you realize she's calling out the real problem. She leans in and interrogates her sister, the gentle maiden, who's still living all alone under the very same roof as a man. Totally missing the point, Leona grins and blissfully munches on her food like none of it even matters. She looks all dreamy and compares her comfy life now to the way she used to feed stray cats as a kid. Lena insists she's paying her rent and covering her food expenses the right way, no shortcuts, no excuses. Tina erupts in fury, yelling that practical stuff isn't the problem and men are wolves. She can't stop spiraling. She's terrified her sister will see Elvin and every other man as nothing but predatory beasts. With fire in her eyes, Tina drops the shocking bombshell that she's moving in there too. She shuts her father and the guild down on the spot, swearing her sister's safety is the only thing that matters. Elvin doesn't dodge Tina's worry. He calmly nods and admits in his own way that he knows she's right about her sister staying with a guy like him. His eyes lock in as he speaks to Tina, calling her his little sister. Tina blurts out her worries because Lena is the kind of adventurer who lives on the edge, always tangled up in danger. Lena blurts, "So what are you trying to say?" and her face instantly hardens into something dead serious. A sly, sharp grin flashes across Elvin's face as he gears up to pitch his plan. He pushes the idea hard. Tina should join the Altona Royal Guild so she can stay close to Liana, no matter what. Tina's mind goes totally blank. She can't even form a word, because the solution is so logical, so simple, it hits her like a punch. Leona tilts her head and studies the offer with a calm, razor-serious look. That dark panel hits like a warning sign, time slips away, and you see exactly what this choice turns into. The sisters burst into battle, and their signature attacks tear through the fight in perfect sync. Their combined power detonates like a thunderstorm, blasting the giant foes into nothingness. The newspaper headline explodes with excitement over her sister's insane feat. She wiped out 10 giants single-handed. Now famous, Liana and Tina strut confidently through the jam-packed guild hall. Fellow adventurers are practically vibrating with excitement, raving non-stop about the incredible Elrond sisters. The sisters trade heartfelt compliments, both praising the other for the win like they're the real hero. Joy bursts in Liana's chest as her biggest dream, adventuring with Tina, finally becomes real. It's like that deep, long-chased wish finally snaps into place and becomes real. Liana's face blooms with a shy, rosy grin as she leans into the moment like it's pure heaven. Tina suddenly slams to a halt, bursting out a loud cry as realization hits her like a truck. Lena leans in and asks her sister what's wrong, worry twisting across her face. Tina bursts in and declares she's got a crucial errand, then tells Leona to sprint ahead. Later, Liana bursts out of the shop clutching a huge polka-dotted box like it's something worth guarding. She skips down the town streets with a bright smile, humming a cheerful tune like she owns the whole place. Liana plots a sweet surprise. She's determined to wow Tina with a cake to celebrate the moment she becomes a saint. A shadowy power snaps through the air like lightning, charging straight at her. Liana snaps her gaze upward in pure terror as a blazing, deadly burst of energy detonates in front of her. She clutches her chest, hit with that raw, lethal killing intent like a punch. A shadowy figure keeps its eyes on her, studying her every move with a quiet, thoughtful hum. In Elf Warrior's eyes, Liana's reaction barely passes, it's just barely acceptable. A shiny bonus panel spills an ad for Hyper Sister bread. This brand new snack hits the scene, all inspired by the heroines. People go wild over this bread. It's so ridiculously good that customers can't stop raving about it. A cheerful baker with a massive mustache practically beams with pride as his masterpiece sits there, proud and perfect. He locks eyes with Liana, grins wide, and slides her some bread like it's on the house. Elf warrior Alicia storms into the town square and confronts Lena right in front of everyone. A single bead of sweat slid down Liana's cheek as the pressure in the air kept climbing. Alicia flashes a smug grin, eyes sharp with confidence as she squares up and dares her opponent to make the first move. Alicia feels the terrifying killing intent pouring off the young girl like a spotlight. She's convinced Liana is stronger than anyone she's ever laid eyes on. Alicia sneers at Lena, firing off sharp questions, like is she scared or actually worthy of an S rank? Liana froze in total disbelief, her voice completely gone as that sudden, aggressive accusation hit like a punch. A shout cuts through the chaos, someone yells at them to stop, crashing right into the confrontation as it spirals out of control. Tina rockets into the scene, planting herself like a shield between Leona and Alicia. Liana spots her sister and blurts her name in pure confusion, like she can't believe she's right there. Tina snaps fierce and fearless that she'll never let anyone insult her sister. She finally blurts it out, she'd been tailing Liana the whole time. Tina admits she only followed because Liana was acting weird, and that clue ruined the surprise. Leona's heart slams as panic surges. There's no way her sister doesn't know about that cake. Tina shot her a reassuring smile and said, "There's nothing embarrassing about stepping into a sweet shop." Liana's thoughts spill the truth. This cake isn't just dessert, it's a special order meant to celebrate Tina's rise to sainthood. Liana decides she's got to guard the cake's real purpose with her life and keep it hidden. She snaps her focus back to Alicia and demands, point-blank, an explanation for her challenge. Alicia's lips curl into a tiny, determined smile as she gets ready to fire back with her response. She rockets into the air and vows she'll show Leon right now exactly what she means. Tina cranes her neck, and a wave of worried confusion washes over her face at the sudden surge of chaos. two sisters freeze with wide-eyed terror as Alicia rockets down toward them. Alicia drives her sword into the earth, and the impact detonates the ground with pure cataclysmic destruction. The impact detonates like a bomb in the market, ripping through everything and shattering it all. A brutal crater tore open the street, and the citizens reeled, stunned by the blast. Tina drops to her knees and conjures a shimmering barrier, sealing them from danger. She watches with sharp concern, but somehow she pulls it off. Nothing truly major ends up getting destroyed. Lyanna lunges at Alicia, her blade blazing with raw, crushing energy. Two warriors are trading blow for blow in a savage sword duel, right in the middle of total wreckage. Alicia's eyes narrow in pure focus as she dissects Lena's brutal, power-packed fighting style. Lyanna snaps, furious, demanding to know what Alicia is doing in the middle of town. Alicia calmly says she pulled her power back just in time, no fatalities, just a controlled test. She admits she's pretty crushed that Lyanna never even bothered to fight back. Lena glares daggers, hugging that precious polka-dotted cake box like it's her lifeline. Alicia's curiosity spikes the moment she sees what Lyanna is clutching and refusing to let anyone touch. She leaned in and demanded Lyanna spill what was crammed inside that box she was clutching like it might vanish. Alicia stares at the item like it's priceless, then leans in and begs, "Show it to me." Lena gets yanked into a ridiculous panic, clutching the box tight to her chest like it might bolt away. In a full-on comedic panic, Leona grips a polka-dotted box for dear life, swearing it's totally, absolutely nothing. A flashback flips the whole story. This cake isn't random at all, it's meant to celebrate Tina becoming a saint, and it pulls the tradition to a later date. Her determination hardens like steel, and she swears she'll guard that precious cake with her life. Alicia stares her down, swearing the prize matters more than anything, then dares Lyanna to a no-holds-barred fight to win it back. Lena's face snaps into a brutal mask of shock and raw horror. As Alicia snatches the box, Lyanna blurts out a desperate cry, watching it crumble into a ruined shape. Lyanna rockets forward, desperate to snatch back her precious cargo before it slips away. Panic flashes across her face as she yells at Alicia to hand the box back, "Right now, please." Alicia whips in a smooth backflip, sliding out of danger while keeping the cake box clutched in just one hand. A tight close-up captures Lena's jaw-dropping shock as she watches her opponent's insane dexterity. Chaotic chase spirals out of control, and Lyanna slams headfirst into a nearby market stall. Tina barrels over to the fallen vendor, shouting her sister's name like it's an emergency. Tina glares daggers and fires off one furious question: how could Alicia do this to her own sister? The shockwave detonates through the air, blasting produce and debris everywhere and turning the whole scene into pure, screaming chaos. If they push too far, Lyanna snaps, summoning a brutal dark aura and screaming, "Give me my cake back." Alicia jolts as an overwhelming pressure crashes down on her, roaring out of her opponent like a living storm. A blinding pillar of light explodes from the town square, roaring across the entire city for everyone to see. Brand new guy Elvin shows up with a hard, stern glare and snaps at Alicia to stop. Lena stares in shock as the sudden intervention slams in out of nowhere. Tina stares at her own face, and you can see pure relief wrestling with total confusion. Elvin drops into the rubble and right as the sisters shout his name, snatches the cake box out of the air. Lena beams as she takes the returned cake box, mission accomplished, and relief hits like a wave. Elvin grills Alicia about her moves, then reminds Lena, "I promised I'd call for you." Lena awkwardly confesses she couldn't hold back anymore. Curiosity swallowed her whole, and she just had to know. Elvin finally tells Alicia the truth. She's the very first new S-rank adventurer to show up since he started. Tina clutched her staff and muttered, wondering out loud if this vicious stranger could be one of them. He steps forward and officially dubs Alicia an S-ranked venture of the Altona Royal Guild. Tina is shocked. How could one of her comrades go this far and wreck everything? Alicia calmly snaps at Tina, telling her not to call her comrades so casually. She swings the truth like a weapon, saying she's nothing like them because she's a half-elf. Tina remembers this brutal truth. Half-elves are packed with power, but they're still treated like outsiders by both sides. She can't help wondering if Alicia's haughty attitude is her way of putting up an invisible wall to keep everyone else at arm's length. Lyanna beams as she snatches Alicia's hand, dragging her along and saying they'll apologize together. No way they're letting this mess slide. Alicia scowls while Lena grips her arm and yanks her along like she won't take no for an answer. Lena adds that Alicia has to apologize too, because she attacked her sister. Elvin flat out declares that Alicia is going to shoulder the town's repairs and pay out compensation. Then he shoots Liana a look and tells her, "I've got business to handle with you, now come with me." Lena watches with wide-eyed curiosity, totally hooked on what's unfolding right in front of her. The screen fades out, and just like that, the story rockets into a far bigger, more epic place. The jaw-dropping, sprawling castle explodes into view, towering high above the waves on a jagged rocky cliff. King Alstra III, blazing with power, storms into the hall, welcomes everyone with authority, and kicks off the meeting. The Altona Kingdom Royal Guild Management regular meeting is officially underway. Knight Commander John bursts in with brutal news: monsters are multiplying fast, and they're stronger than ever. Lena sits at the grand table, nerves on fire, gripping her precious cake box like it might run away. Prime Minister Amos lavishes praise on the S-rank crew, crediting them for keeping the kingdom's peace standing strong. Saint Zeno Nazira, the fifth in line, stares at his 200 million lord bounty and feels the end of his era closing in. Elvin can't help but think to himself, Rice is absolutely thriving these days. Holy flames, the great sage Rice and Cruz just got unveiled, and that 520 million lard bounty is absolutely wild. A fresh voice sneers and dares him, "You really think you can beat my reward?" Alicia Marcel Steen's magic sword spell pays off, because her reward clocks in at over $1 billion. The note spills the truth: the absent sword Saint's challenge reward is a jaw-dropping 3 billion lard. The announcer's voice message shows Liana has no record, turns out she was only just registered. Another member blurts out that Cheyenne, the top earner, is missing because she got yanked away by an urgent quest. Lena sits there in total comedic panic, drool spilling out from pure, crushing anxiety. Her official yearly reward is straight up missing, listed as no record. Leona feels totally outmatched, stuck in a world where wealth and power tower over her. She's freaking out. If this meeting drags on much longer, that cake's going to spoil. She freezes in place, eyes blank as she stares into nothing, and the anxiety keeps climbing, locked on that polka-dotted box like it's the only thing in the world. She keeps picking at the box, and the nerves just keep crashing harder and harder onto her face. A chilling flashback hits as she recoils in horror, staring at a mountain of thrown-away food. That kind of lavish waste hit her like a truck. She was totally stunned, mouth open, words gone. Elvin made it crystal clear: once you hit S-rank, you don't just earn a title, you're forced to show up for those meetings. He leans in and whispers, "Just smile and nod," swearing to her it'll all be over in no time. Elvin snaps a nervous sweat drop and realizes she isn't smiling at all. Rice totally misreads her distress, then blurts out if the rewards somehow smashed her confidence. Lena whispers the cake's price under her breath, and Rice hears every word, like a giant, humiliating jab. Alicia bursts into wild laughter, teasing the Rice for getting ignored by the newcomer. Rice realizes he's sweating through it again, only to see he's being his usual dim self. His perfect act cracks wide open, and the moment he realizes he's a total idiot, regret hits him like a punch to the gut. A hulking fighter grabs the distraught racer by the vibe and tells him to get it together. Rice bursts into a furious tirade, bragging nonstop about his mind-blowing magical victories. He lets out a furious scream at her, then crumples in despair, convinced his efforts were totally pointless. The other S-ranks stared at the spectacle, grinning at first, then snapping into shock, each one reacting in their own wild way. Two members are sitting there, barely breathing, wondering what the king's going to unleash about the fighting at this formal meeting. King sprawls at the head of the table, but his face gives away nothing. Suddenly, he bursts into a thunderous laugh, praising their killer competitive spirit. The other guys around the table finally exhaled, like the whole room had just been holding its breath. Race rushes to the king and pours out a deep, heartfelt apology for the emotional explosion he pulled in the sacred assembly. The whole crew crowds around that colossal, beautifully carved table, and the heavy tension finally starts to melt away. The king's right hand slams onto the table as he leans in, ready to dive straight into the real conversation. He directly calls out Great Sage Rice, Divine Eye User Elvin, and Spirit Mage Leona by name. Lena was so deep in her own head that when someone finally shouted her name, she jolted like lightning. King steps forward and declares he's ready to hand them the mission of conquering the monster source. With a grim roar, he slams the message into them. This mission is rated 5 stars and it does not play around. Lyanna freezes in shock, realizing they've got to face an ultra-dangerous designated monster. She stumbles backward in pure terror, shrieking like, "Why in the world did that kind of dangerous request land on me?"